Hi, Greg. Great to see you. And I can keep an eye on all of these things here. Okay, so now 5 seconds of silence beginning now. Hello, and welcome to the hashtag Juice Pub. And this is the inversion table, where I grab whoever is unlucky enough to be hanging out in the water cooler channel and invert them on up into here, the recording studio. And because only juices, total nudity. Yes, that and plenty of awkward not eye-making contactness. Yes, indeedy. My name... Huh?
Help us, we're trapped.
We're trapped and we're nude.
We have all this juice, though.
What a way to end the year! And
What's behind that comment?
It's pulpy too.
Oh, chewing through this juice.
My name is Gleek, Berserker, Batman, Robin, Joker, Gal Gadot, Green Lantern, Green Hornet, Pink Panther, Kato with a C, Kato with a K, not allergic to shellfish. Gleek. Yep, that's right. That's me. Because imitation is the highest form of flattery and a time-honored justification for borrowing other folks' stuff, and because of the holidays and year-end, in this very special episode of the Versecast, we honor a lifetime of service to the Star Citizen community by blatantly and shamelessly copying the format of the podcast hosted by Mr. Paul Shelley of the hashtag Astropub. Yes, that's right. The one, the only, the captain's table. Guys, a round of applause, if you please, for Mr. Paul Shelley. Did you guys, Grit and Monty? Well, I guess everybody except for Sorian and myself. Did you guys meet Mr. Shelley at CitizenCon?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yep. Seems like a really nice guy.
Yeah. I'd met him previously at FirstCon too. I guess Monty as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because he's Texas, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a Texas guy. Yeah, I enjoy. If you're not listening to his show, stop this right now and go listen to it, because it's he has a great variety of people on his show, and the conversations are always usually pretty good. They get on some tangents sometimes. I think actually, Soren, you posted something about their most recent show earlier, which I sort of skimmed, but that
was just the fact that I think they're discontinuing the format that we're about to copy.
Yep.
Success! Right on time.
Switching to a condensed format. There's usually a lot of heavy drinking involved on the Astropub captain's table.
I remember a very special Astropub where somebody here was in fear for his personal safety.
Yes, that was a thing, which also led to some heavy drinking, and I believe the last portion of that show I never returned because I was so inebriated I forgot I was on a podcast and went and passed out.
Well, you kept walking away, and we're like, "Is he okay? Is he?" I mean, if you guys don't know, it was the ruckus in Charlottesville that was the same time they were recording that show, and there was a lot of noises and stuff. And Grit kept going to investigate, and I was watching him right there in the bottom right hand of the screen there, and saying, "Grit, I hope he's okay." And this was actually before I had met you, so that was I cared even before I knew you.
Oh,
what episode was that? What number?
Oh, good Lord.
God, that would have had to have been...
It was a year ago.
More than a year ago.
Well, it would have been August of last year.
I think so, yeah. Summer of last year, yeah. That was...
I literally had a van full of Nazis on my front yard at one point. I digress.
Never a good thing.
You know what I call that? Target practice.
It was a great opportunity to scream at people. I'll tell you that much.
Oh dear. Well, we're happy that the major damage you received was just a hangover. So
Yes.
all right. So okay. Yes, Mr. Paul Shelley, thank you very much. I am totally borrowing because of all the things I said. It's the end of the year, and we wanted to get one more show out. See, you made me lose my place. Nazis always make me lose my place. Yes. Okay. So I needed something quick. I needed something succinct, and so here it is. Many thanks to the Astropub. Go check it out. Go check out their new format. It's new. It's exciting. It's direct and to the point. And
like
if
nothing like this.
No. I was thinking of that, like on the spectrum of high production value. I would have to put like like guard frequency. Those guys do like a bunch of post production stuff. And then on the other end of that spectrum, basically just vomit into a microphone and then upload it to YouTube. Hey, that's us. But the Astropub is kind of somewhere in the middle, I guess. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay. All right. Well, let me back up here just a second. I am Gleep, currently guy in charge, along with John Pizza of Those Guys with Ship Star Citizen Organization and the Versecast interwebs site and all the rest of that. Until about a year ago, I was the principal host of the Versecast, a weekly Star Citizen focused podcast, and lose 30 pounds in 30 days diet plan. For various reasons, both of those have gone the way of the dodo.
Donut.
Yeah, donut. But I still have my ships, and I have been following what's going on with the game's development, and I know that of late, several of the guys, that would be you fellows, have been playing the latest build and having a lot of fun. Yay. So that's exciting. And it's the end of the year, 2948, I do believe. And so what better time to recap the year that was, the state of the game as it is, and to discuss our expectations for the year to come. None better, says I. Okay, so now what we're going to do in our homage to Mr. Shelley's brainchild, we shall go round the virtual room here in our collective hive mind, and everybody please to be introducing yourself and saying a sentence or two about how you became a member of this group and how you found out about and backed Star Citizen. Then after that, we are going to return back to whence we began. You see, guard frequency would edit that part out. I'm not going to do that. Once we began, and everybody please to be sharing with the class what you liked about Star Citizen, and those guys with ships this year, what you didn't like, and what surprised and or concerned you this year. So let's see. I'm looking for a volunteer. You over there? Yeah, handsome. Thank you. You want to start us off, and then everybody will get a turn, and then at the Juice Cart Girl will meet us at the 10th tee, and then backwards we will return until I slap a toe tag on it, and we're all over until next year. How's that?
That sounds great. I am, hold on, I gotta check my underwear. Yep, I'm Handsome Devil. I've been with TGwS, I was like member 80 something. I joined that because I worked in a warehouse and I needed to listen to things. And I was just getting into Star Citizen, and your great podcast came up, so I jumped on that. I do like long walks on the beach with or without pants.
And how did you find the Star Citizen?
My friend Thomas, who is more lost than a fart in the wind, got me upon that. And now I teach him about Star Citizen. And I think Monty's played with him and Grit has. And he could be a surfer dude, just hanging out on the beach. But yeah, he got me into it. He showed me, I believe, right as Arena Commander happened, like he had a 300 eye, and he said, check this out. And I was like, that's beautiful. I'm not going to get behind that this early in the game. And then I believe like 3 months later, I bought it.
Well, because that would have been back then, that would have been what, 300 eye, what, like $50, $60, something like that?
Yeah, I ended up getting the dual package, the the single player Squadron 42 and the PU, and then I just bought a Mustang, as we all know, the Griswold.
The Bang Stang, yeah. Well, the reason I was thinking is because I remember I had to like think long and hard when I bought my first ship, whether it was an Aurora and whether I was going to spend the extra $5 to get the LN, you know. And I just said, you know what the heck, why not? Gosh, all that money. Well, very good. So now you're from the surfer dude. Pants, no pants.
Yeah, I mean, I think pants are an option that I just choose not to usually partake in.
What if you don't have to? Why would you?
My house.
There you go. Sarge ain't saying nothing.
He doesn't wear pants either. He's pretty cool with it.
That's awesome. All right, Mr. Spitter of Grits.
Uh-oh. God, spotlight. What do I do? Where am I?
Just a little, a couple. You've been on the Astropub. You know how this goes.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I know things. Let's see, where to begin. How did I find TGwS? Well, I was a longtime listener to the Versecast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if we ever interacted with Star Citizen, though. I may have approached you guys with Sea of Thieves.
Now you reached out to me on the Discords prior to that.
I couldn't remember.
I remember one sunny Saturday morning you sent me like a Great Wall of China wall of text.
Sorry, I have a tendency to do that.
And so I made another pot of coffee and I read through it. I said, hey, this guy's pretty smart. So I deigned to respond.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm glad you did. It's a great group. I've enjoyed it thoroughly.
Mm-hmm.
How did I find Star Citizen? I found Star Citizen back in early 2013. I literally was bored with all the games I was playing, and I grew up with Chris Roberts games. Loved all the Wing Commander games.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally Googled modern games like Wing Commander, and the first result was creator of Wing Commander has successful Kickstarter for Project Star Citizen. And I was sold. Nice. And that's how I got hooked. And I started off with I think I had the freelancer digital deluxe package.
Ooh, no, it wasn't that.
I kind of dove right in on that one.
What was in that?
Yeah. That was it was Squadron 42 Star Citizen combo freelancer. Long before the freelancer was around.
Before it had the variants or the different models. Oh, okay.
It was a special package thing, and I think I had some other tchotchkes like a soundtrack and all that kind of nonsense. Come down the road eventually.
The poster and there was like some digital poster thing or something.
Digital and I think there's like an engineering manual or something.
Oh wow!
It's supposed to come out eventually.
Yeah, I don't know. At some point, I think I might have to unmelt my my LN, my original LN, just to kind of see. But it's got like 4 months of insurance or something on it. So
it's like, that's the only downside.
Yeah, wants that. Well, cool, excellent. Do you know what your number is? Your citizen number?
Not off the top of my head, actually.
Yeah, ballpark. I know I'm right around 500,000.
I could find out. I could double check. I think I was in the 200s, but I am not exactly sure.
Jonto is like 200 and something.
Yeah, I'm not a gold ticket. I wish I was, but I'm not.
Yeah, Jonto missed the gold ticket by like minutes.
I think I actually missed it by like a week or two. I discovered the project right at the tail end of the Kickstarter, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But I at the time was a little tight on finances, and I didn't get a paycheck until like the week after it ended or something.
Oh, I hate that.
It was just right there. Yeah.
Because it's always awkward when you go into the boss's office and you explain how I need to buy a digital spaceship.
I'll need to buy some JPEGs.
It's
pretty.
art.
It's really pretty, man.
Well, totally investing in art.
Here, look at this tattoo I had put on me. Well, cool, excellent. Yes. Monty, what's up with you? Your story, sir, please.
All right, yeah, let me check my underwear here. Yep, I'm Handsome Devil.
Hey.
Show title: We Are Handsome Devil.
Come play with us.
A coworker came up and told me, "Hey, the Wing Commander guy is making a new video game," and so I went and I checked out the Kickstarter video spiel, and that game looked exactly like everything I always wished Freelancer was. And so yeah, I'm in, and got myself a. It was the Bounty Hunter package back in the day, and it was $60, and it came with a 300i because I wanted to have a little better than the starter ship and that's how much I'd spend on a game anyway. So why not? Things have changed since then.
Yeah.
TGwS. It was the podcast. I was fishing around for podcasts to listen to on my commute to work and back, and you guys were one of them. And so it's like, hey, yeah, I can do this, and joined you guys, and it's been fun ever since.
Yeah. Who were you listening to other than us back then? Who were the shows that you knew before you knew us?
Guard Frequency was on. I think that was the first podcast I ever listened to. I didn't do podcasts prior to that. And
Right.
And then you guys, and there was another one. I'm blanking on the name of the podcast, but it had Julian Execute, who's now doing the Info Runners. He was on it along with
yes, Star
with
Signal.
two other guys. Yes, Star Signal. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so those were the three that I was listening to.
Did you ever hear Sonny's Diner?
I've not heard of that one.
That name is familiar.
Oh, that was such a good show. It was him and one other guy, and life happened to him, so he had to stop doing the show. But that was because John came to me in the middle of 2014, and said, "Hey, do you want to do a show?" And so we started. I think I did our first show like in September of 2014. But prior to that, there was Guard Frequency. There was the guy that used to do what's the name of that organization that has all the hotshot pilots? Monty and I think Mac were in there, or not Monty. I'm sorry. Avi and Mac were in their group for a while.
Legacy.
Yeah. Who was that? Bridger.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had known him from years. And speaking of first podcasts, his was the first podcast I listened to for Guild Wars 2, like back, oh gosh, when that first launched. He was doing a Guild Wars 2 podcast, Tales of Tyria, I guess, because Tyria is the Guild Wars world.
Tales of
and then he started doing, Tales of Citizens, and then they stopped doing that about a year ago, maybe? Or maybe it was,
I enjoyed his stuff too.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. I mean, he's professional. He's got like, here I am trying to like patch together something that'll work on the fly, and he's I know he has a real big boy studio at home and all that stuff. And I missed the show. I really liked him and Gray.
Mm-hmm.
There was, because you were there. Who was it that was with their group that was sitting with us at CitizenCon in 2016? No, you weren't. Were you there?
I was not there. No,
you were not there. Who was? No, none of you guys were there. Oh well.
I almost made it.
Yeah, you almost. Yeah, God, man. They must have misunderstood my call.
Ace was
Don't
there.
deploy. Don't deploy, Handsome.
Okay, I'll do my best.
They didn't listen to me. Well, anyway, just sort of. I was just kind of curious about how what folks were listening to when they found us, and so yeah, great. And so you had your friend that found Star Citizen or hipped you to Chris doing a new game. Do you know your citizen number, Monty?
It's 33,000 something. It's pretty. It's an original back then. I missed the golden ticket thing by I think like a couple of days.
Oh, okay. Wow. Because that's kind of interesting because
it grew fast quickly.
It grew really fast. Yeah.
I just found mine. I'm apparently 216,000.
Oh, okay. You're I'm about twice you. I'm about twice your size.
And I wasn't long after Monty, probably. So.
Yeah.
Just under 600,000.
Boy.
Another buddy of mine at work did it like 2 days after I did, and he's like 66,000 or something. So it was chucking along at that time.
Yeah. Well, the first day, like the servers exploded, and they had to like do all kinds of ad hoc stuff to try to get all the orders because Chris was terrified that if people couldn't. Because I guess they have statistics on Kickstarters. If you don't, you get like some crazy high percentage of your backing, like in the first 72 hours or something like that. And so he was, concerned that with the breakdown in the hardware that they were going to not be able to raise any more money. But I don't
Just made it, didn't they? Oh,
Barely.
yeah.
They're just struggling.
All right. And so Sorian.
Yes.
Hello. So, please to be sharing your tale, sir.
All right. I started with Elite Dangerous, and I was kind of looking for other space games. I want to be able to get out of the spaceship, and I also really wanted to play like the next evolution of MMOs with actual physics instead of just tab targeting combat.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I could find like that was Star Citizen. So I was really excited to get into it for all of those reasons.
So what was live when you got in?
2.2 or 2.4, something like that.
Oh, okay. So you were in a little bit later because when I got in, they had just launched Arena Commander, I think. And you had to pay an extra $5 for an Arena Commander license.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys missed the heady days of spending hours on end wandering around a hangar.
Oh, dude, with the like the jumps and the firing hoops and the weapons gallery.
Well, that came later, but that was great.
That was awesome. Yeah, it was. I could never get the weapons to work right, but you see how they do is I went ahead and got a gray cat, spent the $10 on a gray cat just so I could do the zoo. Look at I'm a lion jumping through a flaming ring of fire. Wow.
Majestic.
Yeah.
I think I joined in like 2016.
Did you? Okay. And had you so you did because I remember when Elite Dangerous went into beta because we were already doing Star Citizen, and we were thinking, hey, here's a now that would have been about in 2014, I think. Here's a game that we can play for 6 months or so until Star Citizen is done. But it was fun, it was, and I totally get the I don't want to be a spaceship. I know Monty really likes being the spaceship. But
oh yeah, totally.
That's Monty says, give me my space legs or give me death. But it was exciting, and there was because it was it was not a it was an inch deep and a mile wide, but it was not poorly executed, if that makes any sense. I mean, it was like there's not much here to do, but you know what there is here is actually pretty cool and well thought out. So I think David Braben knew what he was doing, and he did a different release plan. It's like put it out, kind of like Sea of Thieves did, put it out and add content as we go. And I have not played in a long time, but I understand that with this most recent patch to Elite Dangerous, it's actually pretty good. They've made some significant improvements to the multiplayer system, such that it's not like it used to be, where you couldn't like share loot with friends or what have you. God, were you guys? Sorry, and you probably weren't, but were you there? The rest of you guys probably were when we first had multiplayer in Arena Commander, where we could try to get into the same server. We had to like enter these really weird codes to try to all get into the same instance.
I remember that. It was like,
yeah, that was, and it was because it was me and John and Caleb, the three of us who started the show, and we like one whole evening trying to get in there. We finally got in, and that was like we were like doing internet high fives all around, and then of course it crashed. But but that was our victory. That was our win condition. Let's everybody get in the same instance, and we all sort of look at each other, and go, "Hey, you look just like me."
And you'd watch that loading screen for 10 to 15 minutes, but you're hopeful when you'd load up.
That was high-level endgame content back then.
And that song, oh my God, that song that they still use. I mean, please, Jesus, somebody change that.
The 8-track stuck in the deck. We can't get it out. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm afraid that's what it is. Well, cool. And then so sorry, you were just searching for yourself. You didn't. Do you have any Meat Space friends that were playing with you?
No, I actually told my friend that I was going to get into the game, and he told me to not get into it. So I had the opposite.
And
It's a scam.
His name was Derek. Derek who?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, because I knew nothing. I never played any of the Wing Commander games. But I knew John from I played on John's Minecraft server for a couple of years, and then and we had chatted and played some, and he just he said, "Hey, have you ever heard of this game called Star Citizen?" And I'm like, no, and he explained it to me. I said, "God, that sounds like a time sink. I don't got time for that." And he said, and then he came back and he said, "Well, hey, what do you think about doing a podcast?" And I said, I don't know. And I said, "What do I have to do?" And he said, "Just talk." I said, "Well, I can do that." And so,
no time sink there.
No time sink. Jesus, no. That's what I thought at the time. I thought, oh, they'll be easy, like half an hour every other week, and no, that's not quite how that works.
I have a weird tangent Wing Commander factoid that I thought I knew everything about Wing Commander from back in the day because I was such a huge fan. But I learned recently that Clive Owen, one of his earliest roles was doing the cutscenes in one of the Privateer games.
Really?
I had no idea. And then as soon as I saw it, I recognized him from it.
That's pretty wild.
Random fact. Yeah.
So who here has played Wing Commander 3 and 4?
I have.
I have.
So
I had never heard of it before.
Those are the real cinematic ones, right? Those are the sort of
they started that trend. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill and not John Rice Davies, Malcolm McDowell.
Right.
Big cast.
John Rhys Davies was in it too. Paladin.
Was he? I'm trying to remember. Oh, that's right, Paladin. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be cool if you just switch John Rhys Davies and Malcolm McDowell in all of their movie roles? So Malcolm McDowell was Sully and Indiana Jones and
Gimli and Lord of the Rings. We're going for a bit of the ultra violence against the elves.
John Rhys Davies, as little Alec. Oh.
Oh wow.
Another time.
Oh boy.
Somebody get editing quick.
Yeah. So because I think that's kind of what it's sounding like is the new Squadron 42 is going to be very much an extension of that type of gameplay. Especially with the onboarding of the Kleins, is that their last name? The Kleins. Lots of experience with the movies, and the entertainments, the musics, and the movies.
Yes, good things.
Yeah. So, well, cool. All right. Well, so we shall now proceed in reverse order. What you liked about the org and or just kind of the whole experience, the org and Star Citizen this year. What you didn't like, and what, if anything, surprised and or concerned you. So we'll go Saurian. God, I can't remember the Saurian, and then Monty, and then Grit, and then Handsome, and then me. Whew, do you see the way I did that?
Nailed it.
Didn't even
Nice
write
memory.
it down. Yeah. So Saurian, what did you like?
About Star Citizen or the org?
Yes, both those things.
I really enjoyed playing with you guys pretty much since I first joined. I think the thing I played initially the most was Arma with you guys, and it was a ton of fun. I didn't think I would enjoy playing with a group as much as I did because I played solo for a real long time. And then I enjoyed Star Citizen a lot for a long time until around 3.0. That was a surprise. It's kind of a dumpster fire.
But then, and so that was, let's see, did we get 3.0 at the beginning of this year? Is that right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. 3.0 was at the beginning of this year. And because we played some Arma this year, didn't we? I have not played for a long, long time, but I know when Johnny was doing his scheduled events. Johnny and Mark were doing stuff, and I know that Ace has also was doing some stuff too. Is any of that still going on?
I don't believe so. I don't think we've touched that this year because I've talked to Matt a little bit and stuff. Actually, first time like yesterday for a long time, and they just kind of been out of touch of it. But I know they wanted to get it back going.
Well, didn't they have? Because I remember talking about them having a big release. Um, uh, was it a Vietnam? It was a jungle map or something like that. And we were all, kind of so bizarre. This happens so much with gaming, where there's a big release coming up, and then it hits, and then like by the time it gets there, we've talked about it so much and hypothesized what's going to happen so much that everyone kind of goes, "Hey, yeah, it launched, cool. Yeah, no, I got to go to my mother-in-law's, man. I'll maybe make it this weekend," and then nobody ever plays it. It's like Red Dead Redemption Online. It's like nobody's playing it. Which I'm a little surprised by, but maybe it's just once it comes out on PC, it'll probably be easier for folks. But anyway, weird. And then Sorian, you were in from the beginning for Sea of Thieves too, right?
Yeah, I was.
And so since 3.0, well, no, I guess we're still in 2018. So there was when did it start to get to mo better? So it was about like 3.3.5. Is that when it started bouncing back a little bit?
A little bit, yeah. It got to be more playable again, but it really wasn't until 3.4.1 that I felt like I actually had a reason to play the game again. Like the content that I want to play, which is the FPS missions, is finally in the game.
Mm-hmm. And how are they working?
They're working real well. I mean, I flew in with the Cutlass. I took out some air defense turrets, and I cleared a base with my gun, and that's all I wanted. And I got paid for it.
Oh, nice. And now, are you able to hook up with other guys, or are you pretty much doing this solo?
I just did the one that I did solo.
Oh, okay. Because I don't like guys like you and Grit seem to like excel when you're playing it solo. It's like somehow Grit has amassed the most treasure ever by himself in a sloop in Sea of Thieves. And
I got a knack.
I need someone to hold me when I get scared.
Yeah, cool stuff only seems to happen to me when no one else is around.
I have that same problem too. I've just started learning how to record all my gaming stuff so I can actually provide proof.
I know. I look into Discord and I see Sorian says, I got attacked by 3 Krakens, 2 Megs. I got, chests piled all the way up to the crow's nest, and then I got sunk by something else. So this is like Wednesday.
Yeah.
Oh,
not
crazy.
Again.
Not again. Okay, and so what are you anything else about Star Citizen that you've experienced to this point this year, probably in the latter half of the year?
Not really. I haven't been playing as much until this last update came out.
Okay. And so what are you what are the things that you didn't like? And feel free to be brutally honest about how you feel about Handsome.
Hey.
Well, it's a misnomer for what?
Well, first of all, I'm wearing his underwear, and it's not as comfortable as I thought it was going to be.
Turn him around.
Oh. That is much better.
Yay. Yeah. So I mean, what about what was sort of a disappointment this year? I mean, and you don't have to even be honest. You can just make some shit up. That's fine.
Yeah, I think I'll just do that. No. I guess I'm happy that they got object containers streaming in and stuff like that, but I still feel like they have not made anywhere near enough progress on the multiplayer side of Star Citizen. We still don't have server meshing or large player counts or basically anything that's going to make this into an MMO, which is kind of a key important part of this whole process, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I backed for an MMO. I mean, it's I backed for an MMO and was given Squadron 42 as a bonus. So and it was multiplayer at that time too. So yeah, that's I totally feel that.
Yeah, I mean, 30 network engineers just doesn't seem like enough when you have 600 employees, and I've kind of had concerns ever since they told us that.
Well, and they're having a hard time. Like, if I understand correctly, that one of their big roadblocks right now, or hurdles to overcome, is AI programmers. They've got like 4 AI programmers and positions open for like 9 more or something like that. And
AI programming is a very specialized field.
Yeah, staffing be hard.
And but that's like a huge thing, thing that they got to get over before they can release Squadron 42, right? Because wasn't that sort of the well, as far back as 2016, the AI was one of the issues that Chris was why they pulled the plug on doing the vertical slice. That time was because the AI wasn't behaving properly, and I've only been I went out on I'm so sad that Wolf's not here. We went out once for a ride along on Wolfpack Wednesday, and that was one of the things that I kind of noticed about at Loreville is that the AI, it seems like it's confused.
It's on a string.
Yeah, it's it just seems like they've got a lot of work to do there, and which is going to be tough if they can't hire the folks to do it. So the folks with the knowledge to do it, because and then if you extend that out to the MMO, I mean, how important is that AI going to be for implementing this incredibly complex economy that Tony Zervek and folks are working on?
I think it's even more important in the MMO because a lot of it can be faked in the single player. It's mostly the first person shooting, or the AI FPS for Squadron, which is what they're obviously focusing on right now.
I think the economy is sort of going to be its own system. They're going to simulate that sort of at a higher level, I imagine, than you would have for in-game AI.
Yeah.
A different field.
Though it's connected but separate.
Yeah, because you're going to have at most, at least in the initial release, you're going to have at most one human player to whom the AI have to react. But if the economy is driven by AI, and also, just say for sake of example, or sake of argument, like security services in a given place or street vendors in a given place, if all of those are going to react independently to each of us in the game, it seems to me that the level of complexity just skyrockets, exponentially. So yeah,
and often the easiest solution to that is the best.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm waiting for my AI programming for dummies to arrive, and then I'm gonna get rich.
I would just hope that they might farm it out, because I remember they did that earlier on when they didn't have the people. They throw it out to Yep, and then
that hasn't always worked out well.
Yeah.
Who was that? Who was that they farmed that out to?
Kythera.
And what happened there?
They brought it in house.
Yep.
Was there? We know what happened with what's the Ilphonic? Yeah. It was like we ordered a pair of 13 double wides, and they delivered a pair of ladies' 8 sandals.
Yep.
Nothing fit. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant like European sizes.
I think that's why it has to come in house. Is the passion is from the inside, and you can't see it from the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Staffing is hard.
Yeah, I get it.
Niche developer or niche talent trees.
Yeah. I hope they're able to make some progress in that area, because that seems like that's a key choke point.
I think maybe they need to start thinking about doing some graduate program internships or something instead of trying to get the best of the best.
Well, it's interesting. I was listening to and I had linked it in the message I put in Discord. The most apparently the last long form Astropub. They had a guy on there who actually does some AI programming, and I think he was, if I'm not mistaken, I didn't quite get it. Get his name or couldn't make the connection directly, but I think he was the guy who has MS and was trying to get a refund because he's lost motor control in his hands.
Ooh.
and it went to court, and the court ruled against him, what have you. But he works in artificial intelligence, and he was saying that I lost my train of thought now.
AI.
Yes, AI. What was it about AI?
Developing it, making it.
Hiring, staffing.
Hiring. I know what you're saying. You were saying graduate level intern programs. And what he was suggesting, because he has a graduate degree. I don't think it's actually in computer science. I think it's actually in economics, but he has been working in computer science for several years, and I guess hires people in that capacity. And he said that it's more about your experience that you already have rather than your theoretical learning in school. So he said, go get, learn how to run a syntax checker, and then just make stuff and get a job, making something dumb, and then get a better job making something a little bit better. And if you're interested in a particular area, then try to get in that way rather than, trying to get a PhD in some really arcane niche subject, because the number of jobs that you're going to be able to walk right into are probably going to be pretty small.
Yes.
Yeah,
that is true.
So
That has been my experience as well.
I thought, I mean, it's who can. Well, I know I was there. I was on the front lines, man. Y2K, and it didn't matter. It did not matter what you knew, what your degree was. If you could do any kind of thing COBOL, and you knew the difference between a 4-digit date and a 2-digit date, you were making bank. It was it's interesting, and it makes sense because it really is what can you do type of proposition. It's not a what are you qualified to do, it's what can you produce. So
it's got to be tough for CIG considering it's a niche market for staffing to begin with. Then you have to find people, one, that are willing to relocate, two, willing to work for less than they could at other game companies.
Or that's what this guy, and I apologize, I don't remember his name.
Was it Firefly something?
Something. Yes. No. Yes. Yeah. Firefly something. He was saying, that that, and that's why he works. I think he's in banking or something.
Yeah. Corporate jobs in similar fields are way more profitable.
Yeah, he said he literally makes twice what an AI programmer makes at a video game company. So that twice makes a difference.
And on top of that, CIG does lean towards trying to find people that are passionate about space and sci-fi games too. So that even further narrows the field.
Yeah, similar Glassdoor stuff. It's a little on the cheap side.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they're definitely working on a budget. That's why they look for the passion people that are willing to take the hit because they want to be a part of making an epic space game.
It's funny how having a mortgage will take the passion right out of you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, cool. So Sorian, anything that surprised you about the year? Hello.
Thinking.
Processing.
Computing.
I am surprised that we actually got FPS missions before the end of the year. I did not think that was going to happen.
Oh, good. Well, good. And how's the replayability on those?
Pretty good. They have a few different missions in actually different places, so it's not just one place over and over again like it was when they just had Korea. So it's a lot better than it was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I remember, following Monty around saying, "Tell me what to do, tell me where to hide," out there at Correo, and that was the only thing to do. And I would just like hang in the command room and just like, okay, northwest, southeast, northwest.
With the doors, yep.
Yeah, with the doors, because I have no skills.
Yeah, the FPS missions were slightly more interesting than that.
But I didn't die half as much as if I actually tried to contribute directly, so that was good. Well, excellent. So let's see. Anything else, Soren? Any other comments? Words of wisdom, chocolate chip cookie recipe? Anything?
No, that's it for now.
Okay. All right. Well, feel free to jump in. So let's see. Working my way back up, I think, was it Monty or Grit? No, it was Monty next. Yes. Monty. So what did you like? What did you dislike? And what were you surprised and or concerned about?
I'll start with what I liked about. There's lots of things I liked about Star Citizen this past year, but one thing that stands out is the reception that mining got. How positive folks' reactions, even folks that have been kind of down on the game, were reacting to the mining mechanic, and that it was actually fun and people enjoyed doing it. So yeah, I thought that was pretty good. I was.
Well, can you talk about it a little bit about how I'm assuming that you've done it.
I have done it because they let you fly around with the ships during the PTU sometimes. I do not own a prospector, so I have not done it in a while. But the routine is basically you scan, you find a rock that you want to extract the stuff out of. You have to manage the throttle on your mining laser so that it doesn't over-energize the rock and blow it to smithereens and you with it.
Yeah, that's good.
And then you break it into manageable pieces, and once you do that, you can switch to your tractor beam and suck out all the ore and throw it into your storage tanks and hopefully fly off and make a bunch of money.
And that's all level 1, mind you. That's the first thing out the gate. And what he just said was probably more than many of these games have as a final product. That's what I noticed on mining.
True. And is it pretty immersive? I mean, is it it's probably a little daunting at first because it sounds like there's a lot of moving parts there. But once you get it going, do you feel like a miner? As opposed to feeling miners. Totally different.
I think for mining asteroids in space, it's a pretty good mechanic. It's a great mechanic. I get a little thrown out of the mining from the surface of a moon or something like that when you've got these spaceships just kind of hovering there doing that. It seems more to me, if you look at the pictures, for instance, the mining craft ought to land and then do the mining, but that's not how it works. So you're just kind of hovering there, and that's always, I don't know, it takes me out of it a little bit.
Well, that's going to come, though, right?
With the flight
it may change.
Yeah,
with the land. I mean, and also the size of the rock too, right? I mean, if you get something a little bit bigger, right, you should probably land on it, or I think you would. My only mining experience was in Eve, and it was kind of scan, click, repeat. Scan, click, repeat. I mean, it had its own sort of zen to it in a way, but it was I eventually, it's one of those things where it's not like you grow tired of it and they say, I'm gonna go do something else for a while and come back to it. It's one of those things that I did it for a while and then it's like I will never go back to it. It's like
the thing with Star Citizen though is it's not one that you can like not pay attention to. Like if you're not watching the levels and stuff, like your ship will be in pieces in no time, and it really kind of takes your attention.
So you have to be engaged.
Well, that's kind of that's awesome if it's immersive and engaging, but it sucks if it's like it's a boring thing that you have to keep your or a thing that becomes less interesting that you still have to watch very closely, otherwise you're going to get bit.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's a fine line. I think they did a pretty good job with the first iteration of kind of balancing that.
Okay.
The tedium versus reward kind of.
And so next we're going to the golf swing mechanic, right? Because that's what I'm looking forward to.
That's tier 2.
Yeah, tier 2.
Tiger Woods.
Tier 4 is just auto mining. You just press a button and your ship just flies around the universe doing everything for you.
From your cell phone while you're at
Yeah,
work.
Exactly.
Yeah, just find rocks, get them, bring them back, sell them.
This rock has gold. Would you like to mine? Yes.
I just made 1 million UEC and I didn't even turn on my computer.
Dude, mad skills. You need
Kidding.
to upgrade to the iPhone 10 because it has matter mining skills.
Nice.
I'm looking forward to that sponsorship.
Partnership with RSI.
Well, I had been reviewing some stuff back from the early days, and they talked about having the application so that you could coordinate things remotely. And I know that there was that thing that got announced. I think it was at Manchester, where it's like an app where you can actually get the weather, and it works.
My radar.
Oh, my
Yeah,
radar.
radar.
That's a standalone company.
And now but it has hooks into Star Citizen, right?
Yes, it is an actual like weather app for actual real use, and the creator of it is a backer and fan of Star Citizen, so he tied in the moons that we got in 3.0 into the app, so you can actually look at the moons, and he keeps iterating on it. I believe all the new ones are in there now.
But there's no weather.
Well, there's no weather in game yet, but the idea is that eventually, yes, you would be able to, once we have weather systems, you would be able to actually check the weather on the moons in any system in Star Citizen on my radar.
Wow, well, that's pretty cool.
Neat. Yeah.
You would have to think that that would fit into somebody at CIG's budgetary bandwidth very nicely.
Yeah,
having some guy just do that. Well, I mean, like speaking of that, I mean, Elite Dangerous, all the third-party tools that for years was the only way that you could effectively work a mining or a trading operation. Without that stuff, I mean, you were just SOL. But
when I do believe you're right, there is a stretch goal at some point, and this would be through Turbulent. We are supposed to get an app with nothing that would allow you to do much active control of in-game, but more like org management or looking at your inventory, that kind of thing.
Yeah, or like being able to
plan ahead. Yeah,
coordinate with friends. And there was what's the show where they're screaming all the time?
CNN,
Oprah, The View.
Yeah, let's just say that where they were talking about the need to be able to, especially given the length of time it's taking to get to places even now. And just how space is big, really, really big, and it's going to get bigger when there are more star systems. How you need to be able to, from your phone, say, hey, I want to move my character or pay someone to move my ship, so that when I get home, I can log in and play with my friend who's at this place, on the other side of 3 or 4 jumps, because otherwise, especially for those of us that don't have, all day, every day to play, it's not going to be very inviting if we have to spend a huge chunk of that time just relocating ourselves in our gear to be able to try to organize something. It'll make coordination.
That's been a hotly debated thing with CIG over the years, and I think their stance is probably moving your ships and things of that nature you won't be able to do remotely, but they'd long time talked about once we have the NPC crews that you can hire, was the whole agent smithing thing, where if you wanted to play with some buddies and they have an AI crew, you could kind of take over one of those NPCs. It wouldn't be your character, and it wouldn't have your rep and all of that kind of stuff. You would just be able to take control of somebody so you can play with your buddies. That was a speculated thing that they talked about a while ago, because they had said they would prefer something like that over basically a system that would be abusable by being able to take the risk out of things by remotely saying, oh, I want my ship to be over here by the time I do X or Y. They want the risk to remain to your actual character and your assets.
Yeah, I get that, but I mean,
Yeah.
I'm kind of the smithing thing. I would like to hear what
We haven't heard much about that in a while.
Montiato thinks about that.
Yeah.
That seems to be fairly lore busting.
It's been a long time since we've talked about that.
The agent
It's been
smithing
so
has to
long that
happen.
I imagine it's
Yeah.
not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you'd essentially still be part of that AI. It would be you'd be that NPC. It would just be player controlled NPC character. So it's not your character. It's not your reputations. None of that comes with you. It's just
Kind
you
of like
taking control of
Escape
somebody
from
else.
Tarkov, where you take over a scab and you're just a random. So
Yeah, kind
But
of.
the problem is you don't have the skin in the fight too, though. So you make that jump, you Agent Smith over, and you're like, all right, I'm here to help. Hey, Grit, I'm here. I'm your NPC. Oh, I'm a girl. That's weird, but okay, I can make this happen.
But
And
you'd
then
also be risking that person, your friend's crew,
Right.
though. Because if you
Yeah.
die as that NPC, that's their
that's
NPC
not
crew
weird.
member
Handsome.
dying.
That's hot.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's just another level of handsome, and I can do it. But
Again, though, that's
but
just
jumping
something
in there,
they'd
I might have.
speculated on.
Yeah, you might not have the heart in it if it's not my character, but I would because I know I'd be on your
Yeah.
crew. So it's a balance that we're gonna watch
Yeah.
slowly develop.
It's the convenience of being able to play with your friends if
Well,
you're separated. But
what the suggestion that the Shrieking Oprah had was that why what's so wrong if my friend and I want to play together at a place that we're 8 hours apart in travel time, and then tonight before I log off, I hire somebody. I say, hey, I want my ship to go to that system, and have it be an NPC or have it be a trading company or have it be a player character, like somebody like like myself that has a Hull E. I'd be more than happy to do, assuming there was sufficient cargo, do that run. And then when that person gets back the next day, his ship is there. And that if something happens along the way, that's the risk.
yes,
that
I think
they
that is the
take-
plan they have.
that
set
they
up.
take
I do like
on.
that,
I think that makes a lot more sense than agent smithing people, because then, like you say, you're basically playing some other character. You're not. That's why I was expecting that Monty would be furious, is because then you're not living your story. You're living somebody else's story.
I am a
and that's
huge proponent of agent smithing.
Yeah.
How? Please explain to me how.
For fun's sake.
Yeah. What? Okay. To reiterate, what you're doing is replacing an AI controller with yourself.
Yes.
Right. But supposing that we have, and this has been the plan in the past, it could have changed by now, who knows, but customizable NPCs. They've talked in the past about folks with multiple accounts, or not accounts, but character slots or game packages. Sorry. Folks with multiple game packages are going to have multiple character slots. And if you don't have multiple game packages, presumably down the road, you'll be able to buy extra character slots.
Yes.
These character slots, what happens to those has had several different explanations. Not all of them jive, but one of the possibilities was that character slots would be these customizable NPCs that are sort of in your roster, in your rogues gallery, whatever, but they are NPCs, and you would have to pay them when you use them, like you would a normal NPC, but you get to create their name, you get to create what they look like, you get to equip them, whatever. And I guess they get paid and they spend their money and you don't control that. If that's the case, I absolutely would love to be able to have a character, have multiple customizable NPCs as my ship's crew, and have that ship go off and have a group of players that, once a week or once a month or whatever the schedule might be, everybody logs in for a couple of hours and everyone has their own customizable NPC on that ship. And, all of those characters might belong to me, but I've assigned each one to another player. and that player can log in and play that character for a role-playing type situation.
Okay.
So I absolutely would love. It's the only way that I can see folks actually playing long-term as the crew of a ship going out into deep space. Because
generation ship or something.
It opens up a lot more options.
Right. It's just that nobody's going to want to limit their Star Citizen experience to being the permanent crew on a ship that's on some sort of long voyage.
Even the Love Boat.
Even the Love Boat.
Dude, I have
So-
an 890 jump. All right, it's gonna be dope. It's actually called the expensive and dope. So there you go.
I don't know that they're going to ever do something as complicated as that sounds, but
It's
I
like
would
the
love
Nexus.
that to happen.
Whoopi Goldberg says you can't leave once you come on board. You can't leave.
I could see them doing a variety of these things, kind of, just to open up
Yeah.
options, especially when you throw in the mix the whole death of a spaceman thing, too, and how big everything is. And like you were originally saying, it would suck if you have a couple hours to play and, your friend's over in this system and there's this crazy thing going on, but you're 2 hours away to get anywhere near him, and that's all the playtime you have, then you're screwed. You don't get to join in. So it's nice to have an option to join in.
Well, I think those two systems can coexist without
Exactly.
No, yes, they can.
100%,
I also think
100%,
that you should completely be able to move your own character around while you're offline. Just pay
Yeah.
for a NPC cruiser, to a Starliner to take you. And yes, they need to actually make that Starliner physical in the game and flying through space. And if you die, well, you took that
that's
chance.
The whole risk reward.
Yeah, you took that chance. But you should be able to do that.
Convenience of doing this, but there's a risk to doing that.
Right, and you can't be engaging in combat while you're offline, but you can be a passenger.
Yes,
you can be a lump. Well, see now here. Let's the rabbit hole make it a little deeper here. So suppose that your ship does get attacked while you are in transit. If you do that, are you going to have to to make it consistent in the lore, or to make it lore integritous? Integritous, is that a word? That you would have to go into some sort of cryo state, because otherwise, if you get attacked, is your character just going to sit there like a lump and go, "All right, what's going on? I don't understand." You see what I'm saying? I mean, what if the Starliner that your character is on gets attacked and boarded, and Saurian and the demon summoners of Galacta 3 or whatever come in and start harvesting souls? I mean, can your character do anything other than just sit there?
I think they've spoke to that briefly or hypothesized on it. It's kind of the inverse Agent Smith, where it would be something like they talked about it with bounty hunting, I guess, kind of. Well, not really taking over, but I guess an AI would then take over. Yeah,
you basically get an AI replacement. Once you log out, you've occupied that seat or you've occupied that bed, but an NPC is put in your place.
Okay, awesome. So now, and I know that you can invest in different quality levels of NPC. So suppose you get the total badass, handsome devil, blackguard NPC.
Nailed it.
To sit in for you in this journey, and he just does some total heroic shit. I mean,
that would only apply to crew. If you're a passenger on a thing, I think you would just be a generic AI, like passenger NPC panic reaction kind of thing would happen. But I think only your crew would be applied to specific role types. And
well, now I was assuming that that Handsome's character is a passenger, but in game, he is death personified. He is
well, it may be based upon your
heartbreaker, life taker. He
should you get like a combat rating
all the time? It's really weird.
Well, maybe loosely based on your reputation levels or something like that.
I wouldn't expect that to happen. I would expect them to, like you said, just hey, if you log out, you're getting a generic NPC to take the spot.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was thinking, you could go into sort of cryostasis of some sort, so you had some sort of at least some kind of protection. It's like you're in the tank. Maybe
but
you're
kind of how to describe the bounty hunting thing, because that was a concern people had. Well, what if you're wanted, a bounty hunter gets you and throws you in his lockup,
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's no fun to that player if you're stuck there sitting in a cell the whole time. What if he decides to go bounty hunt 3 other targets for the next 4 hours, and you can't. Your player's not just going to be stuck there. Essentially, what they've said is that your body then becomes an NPC, and you then respawn at like a hospital or whatever it is, or a prison. You wake up at a prison, kind of instantaneously.
Right. You just become cargo to the bounty hunter.
Yeah. So I think it would be similar if you were a passenger on a Starlight. Like if you paid somebody to transport you and you're away, you probably get an alert on your phone, your transport has been attacked or something. And if you make it back in time, maybe you log in and you're on there and you can help defend. But otherwise, it's the whole you come back and you either log in and you're at the destination you were hoping to get delivered to, or you wake up in a hospital, or you wake up, at a pirate's prison or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I mean, and it's I know under these sorts of scenarios,
It's all speculation. Yeah,
they're unfair because it's not. I mean, we're nowhere near that level of polish. Because I guess there are different kinds of polish other than visual polish, right?
Yeah, balance. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I do believe that through all these discussions that we have, because we know that Jared and them listen to podcasts and watch people's streams, I think they take some of our hints clearly of like what we theorize and what they're theorizing, and then they kind of mold them together because this game is developing along with us, and we're seeing it become part of our game, though it takes time or whatever. But I think that is going to be part of what happens. Is they're going to take these kind of discussions and they're going to meld them around. And we're like, I'm a developer and I look at polygons all day long. I never thought of that. And then they get our idea.
Sure.
And you get forest for the trees syndrome too. They can focus on one idea, and some random forum post or random podcast statement might trigger some thought in some developer's brain that's like, oh yeah, we never thought about it from that angle.
Well, that would be kind of like the community teams, like Jared or Tyler or one of those guys, to kind of. I would have thought Ben back in the day, kind of go, hey, that's really an interesting idea. At least sort of bring it up at the next brainstorming session.
Yeah,
these idiots over here at this, like those guys with shits. They think that you should.
In my underwears.
Yeah, that's and Chris goes, no. That's not right at all. He doesn't have that heavy of an accent, but that's all best I could do. All right. Well, Monty, so what else dislike, surprised or concerned?
Something that surprised me, I guess, was the Reclaimer coming out and how well they did that, and the size of that ship. All of a sudden, boom! Oh, hey! Because I don't think if I'm recalling correctly, I believe that release surprised me. I don't know why. Something that I was disappointed with is their current treatment of medical gameplay. I think that's wholly inadequate.
There is none, right?
And no, they put out an article on medical gameplay, and
none implemented at this point.
No, it's not. Aside from the Medipen.
Right.
But yeah, right. Their projection of this is what we're shooting towards.
Right.
That is not up to what I was hoping for.
So now they've backpedaled on what is going to be eventually, or they just haven't implemented anything beyond the Medipen.
I wouldn't call it a backpedal because they never really told us exactly what they were looking for with gameplay for medical gameplay, and they put out this engineering article or whatever, and I was not too happy with it. I'm looking for a lot deeper, more feature-full
kind of like when we'd play Arma 3 and you'd have to like treat like the 4 or 5 different weapons instead of just going up and say, poof, you're healed.
Yeah.
Well, but also weren't you, because at one point I think I've had all the ships, but at one point I had the the Endeavor with the hospital module, and my recollection at that time was that I was going to be able to go into the Dr. Gleep's cybernetic limb emporium business.
Ooh.
I think that's still a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking more the medical article talked about the various ships that they have and different kind of medical beds, and basically came across as ambulance service gameplay rather than medical gameplay. You haul the guy to the auto dock, and the auto dock takes care of everything dependent upon what level of bed you have or what level of craft you have. The You've got this nano gun thing that does field repairs on the guy, good enough to get him back to some sort of transport that has better medical facilities, and that's how it goes. I was looking for medics being able to actually do something.
Yeah.
I agree.
Similar to the mining. You've got this cool mining mechanic, and you've got scanning and throttling and all this stuff. I was hoping for a medic to have to quickly diagnose the problem, give a remedy based on the problem, rather than just a generic type thing. The medic would have to have prepared with the right supplies to handle these various problems.
So Monty, have you ever played Arma 3 with a casualty?
I played Arma 3 briefly with you guys, and
Where we had
had
to-
no idea what I was doing, and quickly never played again.
Well, with the medical thing, it's exactly what you wanted, to the point of I remember Johnny having to do it, and there's like, first you had to hit him with this, and then you had to do chest compressions, and you had to do this. So there was definitely an easy play to it, in the sense of like the order, but hard because you had no time. Like, the guy was blacking out and this and that. And I think if they could bring that over, it would give you what you want, because I enjoyed it when we did it. I know it was stressful, but it was fun.
I'm wondering if the recent medical article was more of like their next like tier 0 implementation or something, because I had the same feel with you, but the original pitch was more along the lines of kind of Star Trek-y, more where medics would have to scan specific damaged limbs to look for the specific damages, and then, like you were saying, heal them in specific ways.
Right.
But the more recent one really was more about like just stabilization ambulances, kind of.
Back to what Gleep was talking about, getting out of your ship. I'm really strongly opinionated that I want a game where I'm playing as a human being.
Yeah.
And when you look at the ships, I think the human character is absolutely as important, if not more important, than the ships that they're in. And so you look at the ships, and you look at all the damage types and the damage systems. They talk about pipe systems where you shoot the radiator and the cooler doesn't work anymore, and that affects the engine, and you have all these systems in place for these ships. And it's like, gosh, the human body has all those same pipe systems, and where you get hit and how you get hit. So is it a blunt force trauma? Is it are you bleeding? Is it a burn? Are you getting frostbite? A radiation poisoning? All these different things that could make medical gameplay so much richer.
Well, it makes it skill based too. It makes it skill based too. When you have a medic who's, I'm better at doing like the mining, like I'm better at doing the mini game, and I can heal somebody to 99% of 100% health, rather than the person who just does it sloppily and only gets them up to like 60%.
Right, exactly. You make it accessible by having that Moby glass, the scanner, the medical tricorder, whatever you want to call it. But if you're good enough and you can look at the guy and say, oh, that's a burn on his leg, you don't need to take the time to do the scan. You can just start applying the remedy, and you've prepared correctly for it. So
I agree.
Yeah, I think there's all sorts of room for skill-based play that would be a lot of fun and make a good medic a valuable member of your team.
Also, since you're a fan of lore, what's the take there on, it's the future. There are medical ships, there are hospital ships, But now this whole kind of pushing towards, like we're saying, ambulance gameplay where you have to take somebody to the hospital on a planet or a station doesn't make a whole lot of sense because it's the future. The tech is advanced. Why wouldn't the med bay on a ship be able to do the exact same thing a hospital could do?
Well, I imagine
Or two in
the
space,
technology
you
you
know?
have in a hospital in a stationary place is always going to be better than what you have that's more mobile.
Yeah,
True.
I mean,
Yeah.
and it's the whole
Depending on the
realism
size of
versus
the ship.
fun too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, but
Well,
I think,
creating more gameplay loop too, I guess.
I mean,
You add
but
more
just think, so
steps to it.
Monty is an awesome like field surgeon. You know, he can like close his eyes and just sort of intuit what it is that's wrong with any given patient. And so he's in the back working on the patient while, dopey headed me, who can barely even get a Band-Aid on straight.
Yeah.
I'm the one driving the ambulance to get us someplace to where, he can work his real magic, in
Yeah.
reassembling the thing. So, I mean, I think that the situation you guys have described, it lends to a variety of different gameplays, all within the same encounter, which I think is certainly preferable to, having it be just where, okay, we've got, this is the medic ship, this is the medic guy, this is the you can do anything that you want as long as it's one of these three things,
I guess you could also add into that gameplay loop something because of the cybernetic stuff. When you've got a crew and you've got that one really good medic, it's kind of the the general idea that you patch people up, but then to get up to 100%, you have to go back to a hospital or a main service aid center, which is kind of what they've been saying is the idea.
Yeah.
But it would be the difference between, Joe Schmo medic over here, every time he patches up somebody's leg and we get him to the hospital, 9 times out of 10, that guy's coming out with a cybernetic leg. But,
Oh yeah.
Monty over here is awesome. And every time he patches up a leg, they go to the hospital, they come out with their same leg.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of that level of triage may be part of it. Like, you're at higher risk for losing parts of yourself when you get patched up to 100% based on how good that medic is.
Well, a hammer thinks that every solution to a problem is a nail. So
yeah,
that I think. So then there's the human component. There's the human frailty, or the human flaw, the human flaw component to it. Cool. So, and Monty, did we get all three from you? Did we get like, dislike, and surprised?
I think we did.
Okay. Anything else?
Didn't talk about the org, but
talk about the org.
I've absolutely enjoyed being a part of those guys with ships. It's a stable group. It's drama free and lots of fun.
Oh, good. I'm not out in the discords much, so that's good to hear, because I count on people being sort of respectful and pretty much getting along, just because I don't have any time anyway. I don't want to spend the time that I don't have having to police people.
Yeah, and we kind of give you a hand where needed. And I think, like with a couple instances we've looked at, people are always respectful of whoever it was. There's, hey, you might want to just go peek at that. It's never blah, blah, this,
Yeah. That's perfect. Well, cool. Next up, I believe, is the Spitter of Grits.
Oh, I'll try to keep mine brief.
You don't have to do that.
I keep interrupting.
Can I add one thing to the org thing before I forget it?
You get to go last.
It's just because I'm going to forget.
Wait your turn, man.
No, go for it.
The only thing I want to say is I brought my brother in about 3 weeks ago, and after we got done playing, we played with Wolf and Grit on another game. He said, "I've never played with cool people like that," and I realized he comes from a console where everyone just says the 4-letter words all day long. But he said this group is awesome, and he's looking forward to playing more. So that's what that org could do in a short amount of time.
Very cool. Yeah, well, that's kind of the goal is folks, mature individuals such as us, being able to play nice together and still have fun.
Yes.
Okay.
So-
Well, good night, everybody. Grit.
All right. Org-wise, TGWS has been fantastic. I'm affiliated with, or been members of, or interact with a whole bunch of different groups and different games, and
Mhm.
TGWS is by far one of the most stable and sane, I would say. If not mature. I mean, obviously we goof around. There's a lot of immaturity, but there's always, I always describe it, there's a major difference between something that's inherently immature can
Mhm.
never be mature when it needs to be. TGWS is a mature group that can be immature when it's appropriate. It's, which may be often, but it's good.
Fart
It's,
jokes are always funny.
yeah, it's a great group. No drama, just good, solid people having fun.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Wolfpack orgs have been, or ops have been a lot of fun recently in Star
Yeah,
Citizen.
that's very. God, why isn't he here?
Because he's the worst.
He is the worst. Did you
I
guys
do
play
know he
last
was
night?
sick yesterday. Yeah, he was. We were
Yeah.
playing last night, and he was not feeling well. So that could
Yeah.
be where he is at this time.
Oh, what'd you guys do? I know it was an ad hoc mission.
Yeah, what did
Waited.
we end up doing? Yeah, we waited for a minute, trying to get everyone together. It's a hot
Yeah.
mess, but I think we eventually went down and smacked some people around, and then we went and cleared out Korea.
See, I remember it differently.
Weren't you the one still at Hurston? I couldn't remember.
I just
No,
remember
I
us
was
blowing
first.
up, and then blowing up again, and then blowing up again.
Yeah, we did that pretty well.
And I came in
Yeah.
late. And by the time I got there, it was just a handful left, and we did a widow run.
I also I want to interject that Grit Spitter was the first member of those guys with ships that I physically met.
Oh wow,
Oh,
that's true.
It was at a he wasn't active at the time, but it was at the a DC area bar citizen.
That is true.
oh.
It was very good. Jealous?
Trying to
Jelly
think of-
donut.
Which
think
I
the
haven't been to another one since. I need to
No,
get
you haven't.
on that. Yeah. I haven't been able to
first
travel much.
guy with ships I met was Avi Physics.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Avi was very, very generous. He hosted a couple nights of Artemis at his house, and it was a
talking
lot.
about
So, but I met Avi first because he answered the door. But then I very shortly thereafter met Lakandi, who was also there. So that was a lot of fun. But
jealous.
yeah. Whatever happened to that? You know what we haven't played in a long time is Polaris. Has that gotten any better? Anybody know?
I'm
Yeah,
drawing a
it's
blank
improved.
on
Never played it.
this.
Yeah, it's Monty. You're not the ship. You're like a dude. You're not particularly high fidelity. Everyone take a drink. Woo!
I've seen little videos of it, but I've never played it.
But it definitely does support teamwork because you got to be on your station. You got to be doing stuff, and the more that you play it, the better you get at it. So it might be worth taking a look at sometime in the new year, playing some more.
They keep adding stuff to it.
Do they? Oh, okay.
Very cool.
Good. And so, Soren, have you ever met in person another guy with ships?
No, I have not.
Ah, interesting.
For shame.
Interesting.
I know I don't travel much. At least not to the West Coast.
Well,
It's those damn feet. You can't move with those big feet.
yeah, it was like last. That was very nice.
Should never have told him my shoe size.
Last summer, not this summer, but last summer I was in Atlanta. And I'm not sure exactly. Well, we were there like at a conference doing stuff. So, but I think so. You've been close to a guy with ships.
We were in the same state.
We were in the same state. Yes. Excellent. So Grit. Okay. Marry, fuck, kill. What? No, the other one. Like, dislike. Oh, let's see. There's a message up here.
I saw a boop.
I saw a boop.
Just reconfirming feet are huge.
Oh, dude. Yeah,
Thanks,
you just saying that
handsome.
because you have the bathrobe.
What did I like? Star Citizen. Oh, who do we lose? What just happened?
I don't know. We've got everybody here. Weird. Okay.
That was weird. Okay.
So, Grit, like, dislike,
Like,
surprised.
What I liked this year, the progress this year, development-wise, was pretty phenomenal, especially after the drought and non-existent frame rate that was last year. This has been an incredible year for. When we got planets, we got moons. Well, moons originally, then planets. The rest stops, the FPS missions now, especially in the last half of the year, has been massive. And OCS, huge win for playability in terms of solid frame rates and allowing more content to come in going forward, because they were pretty much maxed out with 3.0 up until that point. So definitely all good, everything on that side. I was surprised. I was hoping, but I was surprised that we got a pretty decent Squadron 42 trailer at CitizenCon.
Oh, okay.
I thought maybe we'd get a teaser or hear an update, but a pretty full-on lengthy trailer was a nice surprise, and it was a pretty good trailer.
Now, how was that different from the one that they did end of year last year?
It was a vertical slice was last year, right? Where it was
The theoretical
yes.
vertical slice.
Yeah, it was a little bit more walking around and that kind of thing, and this was much more of a cinematic trailer.
This was more like a commercial kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a movie trailer.
Like a marketing thing. Yeah. Because
it showed off a little bit more too.
Because in the one at the end of the year, you got to go rescue that extremely unattractive woman hanging from the ceiling. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a mission playthrough, but
it was just awful,
So that surprised me, because I was hopeful we'd hear an update, but I really wasn't expecting it. So that was kind of neat to see. That was a surprise. There's a couple other minor surprises that I can't really pull off the top of my head. My only grumble that I have about this year really wasn't about development, and I've mentioned this to some other people and various groups. But I was a little bit of a salty bear this year when it came to kind of a dual thing: video content from CIG and the subscriber program. Was a little bit. I'm not upset about it, but it was a little bit of a bummer, because I actually liked the long format ATVs, which got cut down to 5 minutes, which half of which is usually showing off community content. It's more condensed, which I'm fine with. But yeah,
in the same way that they say that ship designers can't do net code. I mean, it's like, what are they cutting? Why are they moving people out of doing that work if there's nothing else that they can do? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, especially
that's why it kind of bummed me out, because we also lost Bug Smashers, which with Mark Abent, which I liked. This is very technical, but these were all windows into development in various forms and appealed to different people.
There might be legal reasons why we lost Bug Smashers.
Well, their reason, which I get behind and I can understand
too,
is also, well, that's part of it, but also that Mark Abent did get a promotion, and he was much more active, and it was too much of a distraction, probably. Well, that's what they claim, but.
Well, especially
I can get
back
that.
to what we were talking about, early on, about how, the talent is good. Talent's hard to find, and it's especially hard to find if you're not paying very much. So,
well, it's also volunteer based when it comes to devs being on those shows. It's not part of their job description. Yeah,
burn Mark out, because I think he's a pretty integral part of
huge
whatever team it is he's on.
Where I got a little disgruntled was. Regardless of why anybody subscribes, that's totally on the subscriber. If you do it because you like the flair, if you do it because you want the free ship to test out every month, that's fine. But at the end of the day, and they reiterated this with today's holiday ATV that they put out for the end of the year. At the very end, they thank you to our subscribers for making video content possible. At the end of the day, subscriber money is what pays for development content for ATV, RTV, Calling All Devs, any kind of video they put out about the development. It specifically does not come from backer money. It doesn't come from ship sales. It is purely paid for by subscription. And in 2018, for whatever reasons, doesn't really matter. We lost Bug Smashers. ATV got cut way down.
Yeah.
We still have RTV, Calling All Devs, fantastic. But we were also told when they cut down ATV that part of doing that was because they were going to add in several other short form shows to fill in those gaps. Never
Right.
got them. Haven't heard a peep about them since.
Well,
On top of that,
communication's never been their strong suit.
yeah, well, of course. And we may get them in 2019. Eric Kyron Davis in today's ATV kind of said something along the lines of more stuff coming next year due to subscribers. But on top of that, just in terms of 2018, where they kind of slipped a little bit here with that content, again, you're bringing in the same amount, if not more, subscribers probably than they ever had this year. So they have more money for that content. They cut that content back. And then the last half of this year, or last 3-4 months, CitCon, we ended up getting, instead of ATVs after CitizenCon, we ended up getting a month and a half, almost 2 months of recap. And we've always had recap in previous years, but it's usually a couple of weeks. But it went pretty long this year. And then that led directly into the anniversary sale, which ATV was replaced with ship shows, which was all about ships that we already know everything about.
Right.
And then the one that really put the salt in my wound, and I actually canceled my subscription because I've been a subscriber for years, and I don't do it for the flair. I do it to support seeing content about the development of the game.
Mhm.
The Last Bastion, having gone back, I loved Wingman's Hangar way back in the day, the casual early days of development.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
The one last bastion of that we kind of had after things got a little bit more professional, which I like over the last few years, was the holiday live stream. And we don't get a holiday live stream this year. It's not happening.
Yeah.
And that kind of bummed me out because it was the last kind of free-form, goofy, really heartfelt, humanizing show.
Non-corporate.
Yes.
Yeah, very
And-
non-corporate.
And now that is gone. So that kind of, it poured a little salt in my wound. It was not a great year for video content from CIG.
Well, if you look at the numbers that they put out, the subscriber money has been going up. We don't have 2018 numbers yet, but the 2.7 million in 2016, almost 3.1 million last year. So
Yeah.
it seems like the trend is still going up. So,
but we're getting less for it.
right. That doesn't.
Yeah.
That's
And that bothers me a little bit. And again, specifically because they said they were going to replace the long form ATVs with other shows, and then a couple times they, instead of even doing an ATV, they did like a ship shape instead of doing a ship shape and an ATV, which was kind of what they said they were going to do. And now on the opposite side of being all negative about that, this was the biggest CitCon they've ever done, and it was a fantastic event.
Yeah,
so,
you guys haven't talked about that much. What? How come that's not on anybody's like list?
Well, that kind of went with my Squadron 42 trailer, I guess, was kind of packaged with that.
We only
Talk
got
about
one.
surprises.
Yeah.
The controversy with actually trying to charge for online tickets.
Yeah, that was a dark, and that kind of goes into the subscription thing too, because again, not only does CitizenCon tickets pay for CitizenCon, that also falls under the purview of subscriber money. That's creating content for development that comes out of that budget, or can, and it also might be part of the reason why we haven't gotten as much. But there was a lot more recap for almost 2 months because of not being able to charge for the live stream because of the backlash. They may have dipped into a lot of the subscriber money to pay for.
Well, ticket sales did not go like they expected to start.
That's true.
Yeah, they I think they way overestimate. I mean, and the planning on that. I mean, the planning was what it was, but if you step back and take a look at it, on a Wednesday in the middle of the week, while
that was just a bad time.
While the Austin City Limits thing is going on, so all the hotels are already cranked up. I mean, it's just it seems like they could have. I mean, because it wasn't even actually on the day. Well, was it on the day? Was it Wednesday? Was Wednesday the 10th? I mean, they could have pushed it a week or 2 weeks and just said, we feel like it's important to do it in Austin, but because of the reality of all these people coming in for Austin City Limits, we need to push it out a week. And I don't think anybody would have cared about that.
You made me think of something because of that, because it's been a hotly debated thing about why it was in the middle of that week sandwich between that music event, but that might have been part of the reason for that. They may have gotten a discount on getting that venue.
Yeah.
in the middle of all that.
Yeah, I think that the previous CitizenCon, and I don't know what Intel's involvement was in it at that point, but that one went a hell of a lot smoother and was,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not from a from a content perspective or anything, but from the idea of because they just did a crap ton of stuff in that one. They had all the like the Xi'an language panel and all those things that they did. So.
Yeah.
But I mean, this isn't their forte. And it would probably be, I don't know if people would be upset if they were to actually spend some, because they have marketing money in the budget here in these numbers, in the expenses. So I mean, pay somebody to that's done it 1,000 times to do it right. And if it costs a little bit more, so be it. But and then God bless him. Chris has that magic way with his mouth of making things worse by saying, well, no, I really wanted to do BlizzCon, and everybody's like, dude, this isn't ready for BlizzCon. We aren't BlizzCon. So I mean, it's someone needs to install a filter on him. But
yeah.
But that's nothing new. Well, okay. Yeah, I was thinking, wow, you guys were at CitizenCon. I mean, I can't believe that, that wasn't like, like number one. I mean, because you guys, dude, all the red meat, how can all that red meat not be?
Still trying to get it out of my body.
Just to clear the air after my little mini rant there and my saltiness. Huge fan of the project. Very impressed with the development. It was simply the public-facing kind of marketing side of things that kind of got me a little salty this year. But complete faith in the project and the development.
Yeah.
I want to add a little bit.
I'm sure they will course correct too. And technically, Disco Lando is his job title is what now? He is the manager in charge of video content or something along those lines. And he was kind of instrumental in making CitizenCon happen. And he had some health issues. I think he just got rung through the ringer this year.
Disco had health issues?
Yeah, he's got some inflammation of the chest, like the bones or the cartilage. But he's better now. But this was like a month and some change ago. Yeah, it's kind of touchy.
It was right after CitizenCon. Yeah, and then it took a couple of months to get better.
But he's going to be okay.
Word on the street, yeah.
Yeah, apparently he's 100% now. He's all better.
All right, then it's safe to make fun of him. Suck it up, loser.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I wanted to add on to Grit's point on the content, because I'm not a subscriber and I don't do any of that. But you guys remember when I was in Iraq and I brought one of my buddies in, all I had him do is watch the ATVs and the Bug Smashers while we were there. He's like, tell me about this game. I'm like, I'll let them tell you about it. And that whole year of 2016, they had good content. Their ATVs were like 45 minutes long. Yep. And we had nowhere to go, right? We're on talk duty, so we're watching them. But I don't believe that this last year, if I said watch ATVs, that he could have came on board with enough knowledge. So I'm with Grit on that.
I have one other little add-on to that. Sorry, keep going on this. One thing that I thought was kind of a little bit of a dick move in making it short form, and I understand people like it, but they have relied solely at this point in terms of marketing on community content being put out to help spread the word of their game. And Noobifier, who has done fantastic jobs of doing short form, he made basically a living out of doing condensed short form versions of the long form ATVs.
Yes.
And then suddenly they basically just swept the carpet out from under him by saying, well, now there's nothing long form for you to summarize anymore because we're going to put it in here in 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah, because all of his shows are 13 seconds long now.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of a little, that's kind of a harsh thing to do to the community. And there were several different groups and even a lot of the podcasts, their discussion topics were condensing that information.
If anyone there even realized. I mean, I
don't think it was intentional, but
I don't think that those folks, ourselves included, show up on their radar much at all. So
I think you'd be surprised. There's a lot of developers involved in a lot of those communities, whether actively or quietly.
Yeah. but I mean, but that's I mean, I
Yeah.
guess what I'm saying is the people that are making the decisions. Chris.
Oh
and
yeah,
Sandy,
yeah.
Chris and Sandy are not listening to this, so.
No. No. So
Let's
it
hope
was
not.
a great year for development, kind of a rough year for communication with the community and community content
Yeah,
geared or content from CIG, official content geared towards the community.
yeah. It's that really weird balance, chefs and restaurants. I mean, you can have a brilliant chef, but that doesn't
Yeah.
mean that they can effectively run a restaurant. So.
And I've heard the argument that oh well, development, they can't waste developers' times doing these 45-minute shows. I say BS to that nonsense. There's 500 developers working at that company, and an hour out of a week is not a game killer.
Yeah, I was for a number of years. I was a business analyst, working interfacing between developers and management, and you would get developers that would just say, "Well, no, it's not possible for me to explain to you how this works," and and so I would make a phone call upstairs, and they would come down and they would have a talk, and then all of a sudden he could explain it to me. So there's a lot of that. I think. The mystique of development, and how it sets people apart, that they can't be held. I don't want to be harsh and say be held accountable, but they're that they're not a part of the team. That they're I think there tends to be sometimes an attitude of hey, I'm the star, I'll let you know when you need to be concerned about something, and it's like, well, no, actually you're not. I mean, but that's that's just human beings. So
but I'm hopeful for 2019. I think it's going to be an interesting year. I'm not going to say it's going to be. I'm not going to say what we say every year, and it's 2019 is the year for Star Citizen, because we say that every year.
Well, that's an interesting question, and
it's
something that I want that I will when it gets to be my turn, that I want to touch on a little bit. But first, before we get there, we've got one last stop, and I think we all know what that is.
The bathroom? Is it the bathroom?
Well, if that's where you are right now, yes, I guess so.
Not if it's push to talk.
Oh, just live a little. Do voice activation or noise activation.
Where's that water coming from? All right. Well, first of all, I want to say that the TGwS is a great community. Through all the games that we play, whether it be Star Citizen for Wolf Wednesdays, Sea of Thieves, that many of us in this podcast have played hours upon hours together, to any of the other games.
Monty a copy, please. I mean,
Yeah,
I know.
I have a copy. I got a copy on the very first day it came out.
There's only 4 crew members. I know.
Yeah. But just TGwS. It's like I said, my brother is already hooked, and he's only been in a couple weeks. He says Wolf is like the super chill guy, and he loves it, and cracks him up all day long. So it's good times. It's just good people. And when we get into any of the channels on Star Citizen or whatever, we're throwing. Well, now we're throwing a little bit of jab at everyone because most people have been in the game long enough. But we're throwing like hints to people or how-tos in the chat, and I think it's just great with TGwS.
Yeah, you had like a dozen people out there last night. I was still at work, but I just was looking real quick, and I just saw that the channel was packed.
Yeah, and that's usually about the number we can get up to, as long as we kind of have it something to do, and we find something to do. It's holding, because to say Star Citizen is a game it's a lie right now, but we make it into a game, and we make it into things that keep our attention and make us laugh till our sides hurt, and that's the people.
Yeah, it's a sandbox where you can go make your own fun.
Yeah, exactly.
And at the end of the day, it's still, there's no persistence, there's none of that stuff. But it's at the if you're able to have enjoyment with get through the bugs and make each other laugh, then that's a win.
Yep. And then as long as people are watching, developers and stuff, and seeing what we're doing, maybe not our group, but other groups, and it's just helping the development of the game to become a game. It's looking good. So one of the things that I do like is that the multiplayer, like we're able to make parties. Like I know where Monty is in space, and we can walk up to each other after millions of miles, and then I can awkwardly wave at him, and he can walk away without waving. But that's an ability for us to do in the game, and I love it. And it's just
That only happened twice.
I only waved at you twice, so you're 0 for 2. But another thing that I like and dislike, but I think it's all going to work out, is I love how huge the universe is. And I hate how huge the universe is. I love it because I can go anywhere and no one can bother me. I can go down and just look at a planet or a moon, an asteroid, or I can just jump around and do whatever. But I hate that I can't find people and you have to go to the hot spots. But we know that's going to fill out. So that's something that I just enjoy and hate at the same time.
Well, it's like what we were talking about earlier. You know, the whole idea of being able to smith and move around. I like the idea of, you know, your group. You know, your group of friends that you normally play with might be hanging out in one or two adjacent star systems for a month. You know, and that's where your operations are happening. You know, for a while, and then as a group, you decide, hey, you know, we've done all we can do here, and so now it's time to move over some other place. You know, there was some game years and years and years ago, and I can't remember what it was, but it had a pretty good sized world. But what it had was no fast travel, and it was like, and there was no, you know, I think it was a fantasy game, so there was no, or something like that. So there were no automobiles or trains or airplanes or anything like that. So if you wanted to go to the other side of the map, you needed to coordinate with your buddies. Hey, we're going to get together, because you had to. If you tried to go alone, you'd end up probably dying. You know, and because I think that forces upon you a certain kind of immersion. And I understand that, you know, if you don't have the hours to play, that's not practical, and which is why I think the Screaming Oprah's idea of you know, being able to you know, pay to have your character move while you're offline makes, you know, some practical sense. You know, and you absorb the risk and whatever happens along the way. But you know, I don't want it to get to the, you know, the thing where it's like in Red Dead Redemption. You know, like when you played the single player, you had to unlock all the travel locations, but you at least one time through, you had to go everywhere. You know, and I think that adds to the vibe and to the experience overall. But
absolutely,
maybe that's just me. Yeah, sorry.
No, you're fine. And then, like with the multiplayer, you know, we're able to get in multiplayer ships now. I don't know if anyone remembers how a turret didn't work many, many months ago, but we're allowed and able to use a turret now, so it's worth it to have it. We can make a hammerhead do things. And it's just bringing us all together. You know, we're already, you know, us being the Blackguard, we already kind of have a small team that on Wolfpack Wednesday that kind of gets together to go clear things out. It's falling into place. It's just falling into place slower than we thought it was going to, and we just have to realize that. Yeah. And then I guess the biggest thing that I take out of Star Citizen is when we were at CitizenCon, me sitting at my computer and talking about it and looking at all the forums and having that salty this, oh man, they don't do the video and stuff, and then getting there and physically seeing Jared and seeing Sandy and seeing all them do their job, it makes you appreciate it on a different level. I think everyone can agree with that. You see the person that's doing it and you understand their passion. Like Chris wouldn't let me go away because he wanted to talk to me about hair, about this new function, and he was in it to where I think it was Miku was trying to make me move. I'm like, Clifford? Chris is talking. Yeah, Clifford. You know, so you see the passion.
He's not very big.
No, he wasn't moving me. He's
good looking, buddy.
But just to see the passion that everyone has with Xylo and all them, and I think that's what a lot of us need is to go do the studio tours and go to the CitizenCon and bring us back up a little bit. You know, revive a little bit of everything, because it did it for me, and I know did it for
That's
others.
why I wanted the holiday live stream.
Yep, and yeah, and
Yeah,
I'm with
yeah.
that, and it's just the
Why it's so
the
important.
personability that they give us.
Yep.
But
Was Bender there? Steve Bender?
Was he there?
Yes.
Did he do a
Yeah, he was.
presentation? Yeah.
he was there.
We talked to him.
So was Wingman.
Not after 2016, and it was just mind-boggling how somebody that drunk could remain upright and still talk. But
And I love that there are people when they're there too. They don't really hold back.
Yeah. He and Mark were just going for literally like half an hour discussing, different weapon techniques and defensive positions and what makes sense. I mean, well, they were talking about stuff I don't understand.
Sure.
But they were having like a really deep conversation, and that was very cool to witness.
Speaking of content, that would be a show I would pay directly to have a Steve Bender, Sean Tracy only weekly show.
Buddy cop movie. They need to do a buddy
Right?
cop movie.
They're fantastic. They're my two favorite devs
Oh.
when they do content together.
Oh, what's from the Squadron 42, the vertical slice after the fact thing that they did with Steve Bender and the cockroach? It's like I would subscribe to that.
Yep.
That's just me. Anything else? Anthony?
Then, like, I believe I'm gonna say it because none of you guys will. This is the year for Star Citizen, and I think it's true because every year it is, because it moves forward in a positive, more positive than negative, and it's always going to be the year. It's just we see it minute by minute instead of year by year by everyone else. But then I want to say that one of my biggest concerns is we are so close to the project, that we have to step back and look. Step back a little bit, because we get deep in the woods, when we get into our technical talk that I don't understand, but 3 or 4 of you do. And I'm like, oh man, that makes a lot of sense and stuff. But sometimes I think we just need to step back a little bit and just let them get in there and get their elbows going. And they're the ones drinking the coffee and popping the pills to stay awake. And we just got to go keep on it and, stay healthy. So
Got dark there at the end.
Jared has chest pains, and you're telling him to pop pills and drink coffee.
Yeah.
now, what the correct pills for the chest to stay? Just like sometimes we're armchair quarterbacks.
Yep. I forget who said the quote. I can't remember if it was a backer. I think it was a backer who. Sorry that I'm not giving credit where credit is due. Somebody posted it recently. It's an old quote, but it was basically, I can be as patient as long as you are dedicated. And I think the devs there are absolutely dedicated. So when it's done, it's done.
Here.
I'm along for the ride. So yeah.
Well, I think you're not alone. You're not alone. Anybody else got anything else before I prattle on for a few minutes?
I just need my underwear back by next week, John. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to autograph it for you. You can see it. You can see the autograph under black light. Not even an ew. Not even a quote.
I forgot to push the button. I was gagging. My garbage was too far away.
I'll throw it in the mail and send you the info so you can track my package.
Oh dear. Well, this year, I mean, I like, I think in the game itself, I mean, obviously the group, it's a great group of guys. I don't get to be as involved as I would like to be, just because of life. Had a lot of changes this year. I mean, all good stuff. I moved. We did a major reorganization of our business this year, so there's a lot of growing, learning different things that are going to take a while to fall back into a rhythm with, but all good changes. I have not been in game for a very long time. I did do a ride along a couple of Wednesdays ago with you guys, and it's beautiful. The game is beautiful. If I had to be hypercritical about that aspect of it, I would say that like the inside of the 600 is too beautiful. It's too perfect. It doesn't feel. It feels like it's almost approaching uncanny valley in a way. But it's obviously it's going to get more passes before it's all said and done. But like the planet, I don't. What planet was that we that we got to after blowing up about 4 or 5 times? After Monty like flew me into the side of a space station.
What?
You crashed, sir. You crashed.
I think the 609 needs SOIP. We've got VoIP, FOIP. We need SOIP.
Soip?
Some smell over IP, so you can smell that new luxury interior.
Well, you need to have it's got to have a little funk. It's got to have I don't know if it's going to have like some like champagne in the corner. I don't know. It's just it's I just noticed when doing a quick walkthrough of it that it's very perfect, very perfect. But the planets are beautiful. I mean, I didn't notice any. I mean, apart from the just sort of the glitching of assets popping just because that's where it is in the alpha process. I didn't notice anything like in the terrain or anything like that seemed not very high quality. So I think for the folks that are looking for that in the game, I think that's that they are going to be, well, they're never going to be satisfied, but they're going to be less pissed off than they would be, say, if it turned out looking like like Polaris for not, is it Polaris? Yeah, Polaris. It's which is just sort of kind of real boxy and flat surfaces and what have you.
Polygons.
I'm sorry.
Said it's mostly made of flat polygons.
Yeah. As far as the group, I mean, TGwS, I mean, like I say, guys are awesome. You guys are awesome, and it's I feel very privileged to know you guys and to have you guys want to be a part of this group. I think that's very cool. I have no idea how well, John, I can understand, but I have no idea how anyone would want to be a member of a club that I'm a member of, kind of the Groucho Marx thing. But, it's, you guys are appreciated. You are appreciated. And I enjoy playing with you. So that's very cool. Dislikes, the game is in alpha. It's still in alpha. And, I backed in 2014 and it's still in alpha. And I'm speaking of the MMO because obviously we don't have the other game yet. So it's I don't have a whole lot of years left on this planet. I'm getting old, and so it's like, and I used to do software testing for a living, so I don't enjoy it. That was one of the few jobs I quit without having another job lined up. So it's I just don't have the appetite for that. So I'm playing games that are done. I'm playing, Sea of Thieves is done. I mean, it's not complete, but it is done, and on those occasions when we actually do make it back to port and are able to turn our stuff in, I get that money and I get to keep it. It's going to be there next time I log in. It's not going to get wiped, which I'm not complaining about the other situation. I'm just saying that is the situation I will gravitate towards because that's the kind of reward that I want from the games that I'm playing. And also, I think Sea of Thieves is just an amazingly well done mechanic for getting together with 3 of your other friends. Hopefully, some point, multiple ships, Monty, so we can finally get you in there. And just having a blast. I mean, I think it's and at the end of the day, that's in my gameplay, that's what I wanted. I want to laugh and have fun. So. And the delays, and this kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier about communication. CIG has never been good at communication. The persistent delays, and like I said, this is back to to chefs and restaurants. I mean, it's like Chris Roberts shouldn't be in charge of putting out that kind of information or managing that information. That should be be done by somebody else. And I'm assuming that he's not the one that's doing it, but that it's not getting through him until he approves. And it's just the way that it's being handled is, I think, at times pretty sloppy, and at other times is a detriment to the forward-facing image of the company. And I don't think that anybody wants that. That's not helpful for anything. So yeah, I get it. It's what they're doing. What the level of quality that they are aspiring to is going to take a long time to do that. But that makes the communication that much more important. It's not the sort of thing. Well, yeah, look, it's going to be really cool. So that doesn't satisfy the requirement of communication to keep the relationship healthy. I think that there isn't an appreciation necessarily or sufficient appreciation of just how damaging it can be to folks, to folks' perception when they feel left out in the dark. When they feel like they're not being clued in. And I'll ask you guys, I don't, it seems to me, since this all started, it seems like the Star Citizen community has become a lot more polarized than it was initially, like back in 14 and 15. Does that seem right to you guys?
Oh yeah.
What do you mean by polarized?
I mean that there are people that the opinions tend to gravitate to the extremes, that folks are saying there's, that it's either the situation is either that you don't understand development, everything is fine, shut up and go away, or the other side of you don't understand our point of view and our frustration. And I think there's a lot of people dismissing, the opposing points of view, and I and that could be also it's kind of a sign of the times that we're living in too, or a characteristic of the times we're living in too. I mean, there's yeah, I remember when Twitter spawned the Arab Spring, and it was going to save the world. It's worked into something else, I think.
It could also be given the length of time in the community. There's a lot of old backers, and then there's constantly new backers, and then you have the fresh hype versus the tired group. So that can create some frictions, I'm sure.
And when I bought in, there were stretch goals. I mean, they were still doing the stretch goals, and stuff was still being added on. And I know at some point there was a poll where they said, "Hey, we're getting a lot more money than we thought we would. Would you like to, make it bigger, better?" I never knew that poll existed. I never heard about it until people after the fact were saying, "Oh, well, there was a poll. Did you vote?" And it's like, well, no, because
it was a quick poll too. It didn't last long.
No, and so that's not representative of the backer community. If you do that, and that sort of tactic, if I can cast it that way, does damage. It does damage, and I think that that Chris was looking for a particular answer there. He was looking for my opinion is that Chris was looking for a particular answer. Because I think Chris wants to build his vision, and I think his vision is awesome. It's but I think that how we get to that point, and it's and from his perspective, I get it too. We're in 10 years. I mean, no one's going to remember any of this upset or any of this frustration. It's just going to be the game or whatever ends up happening with the game.
Yeah.
Chris, I think Chris and I are about the same age, but so it's he's he doesn't have a whole lot more shots at this, so he
doesn't have any more shots at this.
This is his opus.
Yeah. So I mean, I totally get that we're all human beings involved with this, and so we are. He's going for the brass. Maybe some of us don't have many more minutes left. He's going for the brass ring, and you can't, you can be. I think you can legitimately be frustrated with him for some of the consequences of that, but you can't, I think, honestly say, I don't get it. Why is he doing this? Duh. Yeah, I know why he's doing it. I mean, because he wants to realize his vision. And, for some just bizarre reason, like 2 million somebodies, gave him, interest free $210 million, so, it's like, hey, I can do this.
One interesting point on that too is that it's funny that one of the things that can frustrate the community is also one of the whole reasons that a lot of people even backed in the first place is the whole idea that this is crowdfunded. They're not beholden to a publisher, which in and of itself means, and they've said it, we can take as long as we want to do this right.
Right.
But the longer it takes, the more salty people get. But again, that's kind of the whole point of the whole thing.
It is, but I think that Chris sometimes feels like, or the official position, just stating that, we will always default to doing the highest quality, no matter how long it takes. That immunizes them from responsibility.
Yeah. Well, like you said, it's the breakdown of communication. If you don't keep communicating well to people, the reason.
Yeah, I mean, and that people don't even have to be happy with the answer, but I mean, just off the top, saying that they have a little fireside chat and they come out and they say, okay, look, like when the planetary landing thing came out, because I think that's one of the things that has really pushed the schedule on Squadron 42. If they came out and they sat down, and said, look, this was our timeline to get to Squadron 42. We've got this planetary landing thing figured out now. Somebody in, wasn't the story like one or two developers came, were able to make it happen.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And said, you know what? And at that point, what I would suggest they would have done is come and said, look, here's the deal. We can make it this much better, but it's going to take, we guess at this point, and we can't see the future, but we guess that it's going to take about this much longer. As opposed to, because I don't think anyone was lying when they said answer the call 2015, answer the call 2016, answer the call 2017. I don't think anybody was lying. I think that they had a different scope in mind when those statements were made. But when the date just changes and there's no real back and forth about how and why. I think that hurts credibility, and that hurts the relationship between them and the community for the people that are following it. The most rabid is not the right word, but the most enthusiastic fans, are fun, because of those 2 million people, you would have to think that probably 3/4 of them are not really following that closely. Every once in a while they'll check in to see is it out yet, or but they're not hanging on it week to week like some of us are. So that's a dislike, and that's not unique to this year. I mean, that's been persistent for a while now. I think since 2016, when Chris came out on the stage, and the day before or 2 days before, he had said, you're going to have your Squadron 42 vertical slice, and we were standing outside the theater, talking to people, and woohoo! Shout out at Alita Brothers, who got in line at 3 that morning and got us in the front row. And everybody I talked to, I said, what are you most looking forward to? Everybody said Squadron 42 vertical slice. And then Chris just walked out and said, nah, we're not going to do that today. And it's, I mean, and it's you could feel the air going out of the room, and it's just God, you couldn't have handled that worse, dude. You just couldn't have handled that worse. So, but I'm just being honest. I mean, that's just kind of the,
Here's one thing I've said before, in terms of expectations and letdowns. I
Mhm.
wish, and I know with the roadmap, it's fantastic that we have a roadmap, and it's fantastic that it's pulled right from their JIRA and shows us what they're working on and when they expect it. And they have said, those are aggressive dates because that's how you deal with development with any project, really. You try to push people
Mhm.
by making aggressive. But I really wish they would just add in a function when they publish that, when it translates to the web page, add 6 months to everything. Even
Yeah.
if it's 6 months earlier internally, add just so the expectation. I would rather be surprised. Oh my god, salvaging is in 6 months early. Oh my god, this is in 6 months early, rather than even though
Right.
everyone knows and expects, and the reality is stuff will get pushed out.
It's like setting your clock
Yeah,
5 minutes ahead in the morning.
That's a clock ahead, just to avoid the drama and the backlash from the community.
I think what would even work better would be if they put it out with the dates with the aggressive dates they put out, and then just say, give a history of, of how often they hit the dates, and and we'll say like that's a fairly null number, but say by how the average of how much they're off in hitting them. I mean, give a margin of error. Like if you're doing any kind of a forecast, you could do a margin of error, plus or minus, and you just say, this is how we work. This is the nature of software development, is that we put these goals to motivate our people. And Chris has said that on stage too before. He said,
many times.
He says, I have aggressive goals because I want to motivate my people to work hard, and to be as excited about this as I am. Perfect. Okay. So that when you put out that roadmap to say, okay, these are those aggressive dates, and on average, we're hitting these dates, by this much. There are certain items on here that are more likely to get pushed just because of the dependencies behind them, or the contingencies behind them.
Or the amount of staff available, the
and
prioritizations.
don't be afraid to put out, information that that is, some people might say is difficult to read, because somebody is going to do a summary in Reddit. Someone who knows better. I mean, it's like with the financial information they put out the other day. I mean, it's very high level, and that's, it's not really financial information. I mean, it's basically a highly summarized profit and loss statement. It's not a statement of cash flows. There's no balance sheet. There's none of the things that, I mean, it's not the result of an audit. I mean, it's basically some numbers they put into Excel and made a bar chart. And they had, reason I bring it up is they had stated in there that it's being presented in this format because we want it to be easy to be understood. Sure, go ahead and do that, but then also give the high detail behind it as well, because for the people that do understand what these things mean, it can come across, especially if you're like coming out
doing layman's instead.
Yeah, give me what are you hiding here? Give me the information. What are you hiding here? Because it's not a complete picture. But I'm not. I'm not. You can't get blood from a turnip either. So there's that just kind of is. But that's just kind of as an example.
That's how I feel with their development a lot of the time. That they're showing just enough to make it look shiny, and I often wonder what the details are behind the scenes.
Yeah, I get it. And I think, kind of back to the point that I was trying to make earlier, is that especially, the fans, a lot of us come to being backers and participants, such that backers are in this project, bringing different sets of expertise. So we have people that know a lot about software development. We have people that know a lot about spaceships, about physics. People, can argue about, thrusters for hours and hours and hours, and then there are people that understand, business. There are people that understand all sorts of things. And I think that, and maybe this is a better way of trying to explain what I was talking about earlier, that folks tend to dismiss people that have an opinion, a contrary opinion, outside of their area of expertise.
You're wrong.
Yeah.
I think another thing to add on to that is we're a mature group on this game, so we have that knowledge where Call of Duty comes out, and all you want to do is make sure that as long as I hold the trigger down longer, the other guy dies, I win. So they don't have the play in it as much as we do. We don't have the heart and the understanding.
And one caveat to that too is on top of various people's expertise and various things, business or development, this project, that company, the whole thing, even amongst those different fields respectively, is a pretty unique beast from where its money came from, how it's set up.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Even with expertise, it's still, I don't think anybody's expertise quite fits exactly
No.
what they're doing there, which makes it even more confusing to people. It causes more
Very
confusion when
few
people
people
have opinions.
actually have a comprehensive view of, or a comprehensive understanding of the project as a whole. But a much
Even their business setup is very bizarre.
But a much larger group of people think they do.
Exactly.
You know, and so it's, you know, there's some analogy there of the, you know, the more I learn, the dumber I get. You know, it's like we got some folks out there that they're teenagers. They know everything. You know, and they have a Twitter account, and they, you know, they're not afraid to use it. So yeah, I mean, that's frustrating. It's frustrating. Not, you know, and you know, sort of given that, you know, level of personal, I won't call it skepticism, just maybe wariness. There wasn't a whole lot that surprised me about this year. I am a little bit concerned though about the MMO. And the reason for that is that the backers that came on, the investors, the Kleins, they're movie guys. You know, they're movie guys, and I don't think it's a secret that Chris wants to make movies, or I don't say he wants to go back to Hollywood and make Wing Commander 2, God help us. But you know that he has a passion for these types of cinematic stories within his games, you know. And I think that from the statement of the Klein, the younger Klein, Eric Klein, I think, you know, he was saying that he's very excited about this new form of entertainment, of interactive entertainment. So I, you know, which I think for Squadron 42, the single player experience, is good news. You know, is that I think that anyone that was afraid that there was a real chance that Squadron wasn't going to get done, I think that for the most part, unless you just like really are skeptical, that those fears have been alleviated. But what I'm personally concerned about for the MMO is that it doesn't become overshadowed by Squadron episodes 2 and 3. I mean, assuming 1 comes out and does very well, and there's lots of money generated, you know, are the people, you know, behind the scenes, are they going to be more motivated to push straight ahead with episode 2 and get that done? So I guess, you know, is there a possibility that the MMO is just going to end up existing as a test bed or a support vehicle for the development of 3 episodes of Squadron, and then whatever comes after that? You know, because they have huge technical hurdles, is my understanding, you know, as far as the MMO goes, as far as we were talking about earlier with the AI, and about the object containers streaming, you know, trying to you know, to make that work with the bind culling and the server meshing, all that stuff that makes my head spin. But you know, if at the end of the day you've got the process for Squadron down, and you know that all you have to do is call, you know, some, you know, Gillian Anderson, and who doesn't want to call Gillian Anderson and have her come over? I mean, I know
got her.
I do.
You want me to get her?
Yeah.
You want? No, she's in bed.
Jill.
Sorry, she's in bed. Sorry, guys.
She was making you a cheeseburger last time.
You know it.
So given, you know, especially with Chris's passion for that type of development, you know, I mean, the dude was on fire when he was over there directing all the performance capture stuff, right? I mean, you know, and who can blame him? You know, I mean, it's an amazing idea, and you know, and like what you were saying about Squadron at CitizenCon, I mean, it looks amazing. You know, I mean, Gary Oldman looks amazing. You know, you know, so is the MMO, because of Chris's passion for the squadron type of entertainment or product, and these investors now, who are represented by the guy, what's his, Olaf or Odorf, Hodor.
Hodor. Hodor.
Hodor. He's a mergers and acquisition guy. So
Yeah.
he's big dog. He's not a video game guy as much as he's like, I think he's done stuff with video game companies, but he's not about the game. He's about the deals between the parties, and keeping everything on that up and up. So these guys understand movies. Are they, because we still don't know how they're going to monetize the MMO. So if they've got the next Call of Duty in the works, where they can be guaranteed to sell X number of units with each new episode, which is like guaranteed profit, cash. I mean, is there going to be less incentive to risk time and money in the MMO? So or I mean, does it, so maybe it doesn't. And then I'm not saying that it's not going to come out, but I'm just saying, is it possible that it's going to come out in a lesser state, with the idea that eventually they'll get around to making it the thing that we've all been dreaming about since we backed way back when? I mean, unless you backed exclusively for Squadron, which I don't know that many of us did, just because we're here for the multiplayer, for the playing together.
I personally think once the first episode is out and all that core tech is done, all facets will kind of progress more quickly, because they'll need less engineers working on the sequential Squadron episodes. It'll be more or less the motion capture and putting in new missions, and then using all the existing tools that they've created in the existing engine. Just it frees up more people to work on the other side of things.
There's also a lot more money in games as a service and multiplayer games in general than there is in like single player campaign games.
And I was talking about this recently too. Just the amount of backers there are, the attention that there is on Star Citizen right now. If Squadron comes out and it's a truly great gaming experience with that huge list of A-list actors, it's going to bring in a whole bunch more interest. People that don't necessarily generally like space games or whatever, but they feasibly, what a CIG is evaluated right now at just shy of $500 million as a company. They could easily match that in the sales of Squadron and effectively double their income.
Sure.
And I brought up this point talking about this too, that traditionally any other game that sells well and makes a GTA, anything like that, makes a ton of money. A lot of that is paying back advertisers, is paying back publishers, and the amount of profit that company actually takes home to put back into their next project or continuing development is a sliver of those actual sales. But because of CIG, because of the fact that it's crowd-funded and they owe nobody, that's almost nearly 100% profit. I mean, everything they make off of the sale of Squadron 42 can be put right back into expanding job roles, expanding offices, expanding development. That's a huge win for development.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that makes
and it's
that
job
makes sense.
security for the next 10 years. I mean, that covers them for the next 10 years
Without
having to crowdsource anything else.
I'm just concerned that, given like we were talking about earlier, the limitations or the difficulty in acquiring staff.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that could help them have better pay rates, because that's one of the reasons. Like Rockstar has much better pay scale than CIG, because they're established and have so much profit coming in from their game sales.
Fair.
So they might be able to. Well, I'm just speculating, but if it does well, it could allow them to have a higher pay rate and maybe attract in more talent by saying, hey, look, we've got the successful product. We can afford to pay you a lot more here, a lot more bonus options, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it may help, it may not.
Yeah. I mean, I think, and the answers, I'm all my training's in economics. So, I mean, it's like, I look at things like, what are, incentives and how do,
Yeah.
How do these things work with and against each other? Or that's my tendency is to try to look at things that way. So assuming that's that the money's going to be good and all of that.
Best
and
case scenario.
yeah, sure. And there's no, as long as we're theory crafting, might as well craft a good one, a smiley one.
Yeah.
We do know, one of the things we do know is, and we were just talking about it, is Chris's tendency to put out aggressive dates. So I think that the idea of and I don't know, have you guys heard anything about what alpha or beta for Squadron is going to entail? I would have to think as
No.
tight-chested as they are, tight-chested
It's an
as they
internal alpha,
about the it's got to be internal. So I don't. It seems more likely to me that it's not going to be until sometime 2021 before the game is ready to be released.
Well, they did say officially, I forget, it was one of the interviews or articles he did when they announced all this stuff, that it is a summer 2020 is currently their goal for release, summer 2020. So it's short form alpha, and I've heard the discussion. Traditional game development, the polish phase could be just as long as a development phase.
Mhm.
But this isn't a traditional game development. There's been a lot of optimizations and polishes that are happening along the way because of the spillover into the PU, and so
Mhm.
polish phase is kind of a completely different beast, I think, when it comes to Squadron 42, because a lot of it is being polished as they go. I think
Mhm.
it's really, well, he even said like the beta internal is really just final bug testing. It's
Yeah.
edge case stuff. It's not going to be like, 2 years of, we've the whole thing is white boxed by 2020. Now we polish. It's
Right.
pretty much.
Right.
It's a different beast, I think, when it comes to quote polishing Squadron 42.
Right.
But not
And
to say
I
that
think
it
it's
couldn't take a year though, because again, that's the whole point of the crowdfunding thing. If he's not
Mhm.
happy with it, like you were saying about CR, not
exactly.
wants it to be the best of the best. If he's not happy by summer 2020, if he wants another 6 months or another
And
12 months, he's going to do it. Yeah.
and you could totally hear it in his voice. He's
Yep.
like, I got enough money to wait as long as I want.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So I mean, he's gonna be, he's gonna he's gonna polish that thing really
But
shiny.
well, here's another caveat to throw on top of that: the advent of bringing in this marketing money with these investors is
Mhm.
that does put another brake on him, because when they are there specifically, that money that they've brought in is to market Squadron 42, and that's their
Mhm.
investment. That's what they want the return on.
Right.
And those are the voices on the board that are going to say, nope, summer 2020, get it done. It's going out.
I
If you
would
need another
give
6 months, maybe we'll talk about it. But like, they're the ones that are going to want to get it out and making money.
Turds left nut to see a copy
Yeah.
of that stock purchase agreement, because what kind of power do those guys actually have?
Not much. They released that.
Nut?
They
The
released
stock purchase agreement.
Well, they released not the purchase agreement, but at least the shareholds. And I mean, Chris is still.
We know the number, the percentage.
He's in
Yeah,
charge.
but
Exactly.
That doesn't say
show what their power is.
What their remedy is for there can be contingencies and remedies and warranties and all that kind of stuff.
But at least it's another voice on the board there to for lack of a better phrase, pamper check Chris.
Absolutely. It's got to be somebody that has an interest other than being just the coolest game ever.
Yeah, and Aaron Roberts was a big part of that too. Aaron was big on. I mean, that's what Aaron does. He gets product out the door, and that's one of the reasons he came on.
Aaron gets a C- for that.
But well, he organized things a lot better than they were, I think, with him coming on board.
It could have been worse, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's of the brothers. Chris is the dreamer, Aaron's the doer. It's
right.
So and that was a minor break on Chris when Aaron came on. So that's my point being, having these other guys that's a bigger foot on the pedal to say, all right, chill. It's time to wrap this up.
Plus having that extra cash flow, that's kind of a guarantee. I mean, I get it's marketing, but some of that can go right towards something else too.
I think that, yeah, I think I heard something Board Gamer was talking about, that they do actually have the latitude to use it for stuff other than marketing. Because, think
Yeah,
about it. I mean,
yeah.
when did they get that money, or have they gotten the money yet? When are they going to get it? And because if it's for marketing only, and they're not going to start marketing until the end of next year, they're not going to just let that sit in the bank. They'll, I'm sure that the clients are saying, I can collect interest just as well as you can. So
Yeah.
you'll get it then. But
well, it also allows them. I mean, marketing in general, marketing strategy or marketing campaign. Yeah, obviously, it doesn't. The public doesn't just see it when it happens. I'm sure this allows them to now sit down and start, negotiating agreements with TV spots and Netflix ads or however they're going to market it. Because that's the whole point, is they want it to reach a broader, more like a traditional movie marketing or a traditional AAA game marketing scheme.
I mean, I can't say that I necessarily want to play with a bunch of people that are going to get the game just because of Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
But again, we're talking about the single player. It could be that people will be engrossed in the single player, and when the multiplayer comes out, they lose interest just because, like, hey, where'd Luke go?
Well, that is of itself too. Is speaking of the whole interest in the MMO, I mean, Squadron is now basically a giant marketing ploy to bring people into the MMO, because they're going to play it, and then oh, what? There's a multiplayer sandbox place I can go to and do all this. Yeah.
Well, it's the focus. It's definitely, and it's a huge focus. And I just hope that that some of the focus goes back to the MMO. But and given because right now, they have to get the stuff done for Squadron, as far as the AI and everything. And then, I think what Chris had said at CitizenCon, if I'm remembering correctly, is that they were not going to have a traditional beta for the MMO. They were just going to keep rolling out new stuff. And then as soon as that 12th pillar is out there, then they're going to consider that a release and stop doing wipes. So, so I guess I don't know if you call that a soft launch or what you call that. I mean, I guess, Minecraft, you put out Redstone and then you called it, and then called it
more
good.
like an evolution, really.
Yeah, which I wish, like Minecraft. I mean, obviously it's apples and oranges, or blocks and spaceship. But one of the beauties of Minecraft, of playing it all through that alpha and beta phase, was that you didn't lose anything when the next update came out. The next update comes out, and it's like, this is fun. I got a new thing to play with, and I still have all the stuff, all the work that I've put in, all the stuff that I've created with my friends. That's still there.
That wasn't necessarily always true, but close enough.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the in the latter stages,
yes.
So I didn't come into Minecraft until gosh, I can remember when it was, but but then also, like I say, it's not a fair comparison, just because, I mean, how many times would you just go ahead and start a new world because you got tired or screwed up the world that you had, so it's different set of objectives too.
Not to
win condition.
Not to fearmonger, but to play along into your same concern with Squadron comes out and any kind of detriment to the MMO. There's also the possibility that Squadron comes out, they make a lot of money, and this is a year and a half, 2 years from now. God knows what could happen with either PC hardware or PC software development in that amount of time. What if they make all this money and suddenly there's this quantum leap ahead in MMO technology, and they decide, oh, time to do another code rewrite on the MMO? That's another 5 years because we got the money.
Yeah. And honestly, they're already kind of being outpaced in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, that is, I hope that doesn't happen, but that is a reality, that it's a possibility. It would suck.
Yeah, because I mean, because for my own selfish reasons, I didn't back for Squadron. I mean, and I was looking forward to playing it when it was multiplayer.
Yep.
Now I'll probably watch Brad play it. I mean, it's not. I mean, that cheese.
I'm excited for both, to be honest. But
I get it,
because I grew up on Wing Commander. I'm excited to see the spiritual successor. But
that's one of those things where it's just it's a takeaway without You know, it's like you come home and dad has chained your bicycle to the toilet, you know, and he doesn't tell you why. You know, it's like, hello.
Yeah.
I can
It's
tell
happened
you,
to you guys,
Gleep,
right?
that I do not share your concern there.
About my bicycle being chained to the toilet.
That too.
Yes.
You don't share my concern about what?
About Squadron 42 taking the impetus away from Star Citizen.
The eclipsing it, yeah.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
first of all, the project is Star Citizen. When we talk about this game, we talk Star Citizen, and oh yeah, there's Squadron 42, this other thing. But the project as a whole, its name is Star Citizen. And there's a reason for that, because I think that's the dream, that's the the intellectual property,
10-year
that's the
plan.
universe. Chris's objective is to build something that he can live in.
Yeah.
And that's not a single player game. He enjoys doing the storytelling, and storytelling is critical to making it a rich place to be. But you know, from my understanding, I mean, I'm not him, of course, is that, you know, that desire has always been to create this universe where you can load up and jump into, and you're there. And that means sandbox. That means being able to do what you want to do. And there's just way too much design and time and effort being put into the MMO for Squadron 42 to somehow take over. I don't see
I
that
agree
happening.
with Monty on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I do not disagree with your logic. I am concerned that dreams and objectives change. You know, and
I think worst case
especially
scenario. Sorry.
especially when you have people on your board, you have brought people on your board who they cannot share that dream the same way that Chris does. I think they see, and I don't know them, I don't know Chris. I mean, but I think given the line of work they come from, where they've made a shitload of money, they understand the possibility of expanding into the interactive entertainment possibility, or the interactive entertainment vehicle that Squadron 42 will represent. And I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that my concern is that the dream and the vision also has to live within the real world. And if Chris is faced with a situation where it's like, well, you're going to get a lot more support and a lot more backing to call Gillian Anderson back and make more space movies, I think that he would be able to settle for that. I mean, I'm not saying he would want it or he would be happy with it, but I think he would be able to settle for that. So
I think from a financials perspective, though, in terms of games, the MMO is where the money is. The single
I still don't
player,
understand
that's a
how
one-off.
is that going to get monetized?
Well, people, even right now in the development, people aren't buying ships for Squadron 42 because you're going to play with the ships they give you in Squadron 42.
Right.
And they've talked about before the selling of UEC and all that kind of stuff. And
but they're not going to sell ships after launch, right?
No.
That's so. What is the breakdown of revenue from ships versus UEC?
It'll be less, but again, with the funds that come from selling, and again, it's more of a one-off with each launch of a successive episode of Squadron. That's where the meat of your money is going to come in. They're going to make, like I was saying, they'll make enough off of the launch of Squadron to base. It would be comparable to all of the money they've made throughout and backing for the last 5 years.
No, I get you.
All
I
in
get
one
you.
shot. So they don't need to have those sales as much or as frequent.
I get you. I get you. But
it all
I think
balances in the middle somewhere.
There was going to be somebody on that board that's going to say, we don't need the MMO.
Cosmetics too. It's going to be cosmetics and different skins, and just like Elite does. I mean, they sell different skins, different colors for things. Yeah.
Don't get me started on that.
Yeah, they charge way too much.
They're going to do
stuff.
something that's
Yeah.
going to piss off Monty. That's
Yeah.
what they're going to do.
Yeah, and they've talked about, they have a lot of different avenues they could go down with stuff like that, or even like Sea of Thieves has the plan. Basically, they're writing off. They have a almost a 10-year plan with expanded content, and they're writing off the sales of the game still.
Mhm.
When they reach a point that they need to bring in more money to continue development, and as long as there's interest still in the game, then they've said
Mhm.
this, like they'll stop expanding when the player base goes away. Their plan is to bring in, or at least has always been, and it may change, pets. They've talked about since before launch. They have no impact on gameplay, and other than funny, goofy stuff that they'll do. They're interactable with other players, can interact with them, but they're not going to, go fetch you goods or reload your cannonballs for you. They're not going to give you any kind of advantage. But they've said that the only way you're going to get those pets is buying them. And they're going to be affordable. They're not, and then you don't have to. And I think it'll be something similar with Star Citizen. If
And it wasn't
they
also
need
that you would be able to earn a
Yeah.
pet in game, but there might be like a certain top tier pets that you would have to pay cash money for.
or different variety or different colors even. I mean, you could have your standard monkey that you earn in game, but if you want some goofy looking monkey or different colored. But I could see Star Citizen doing that. And then there's also the possibility they've talked about, if they needed to, and they already have one, but is switching to a subscription model of some sort. When who knows what that benefit that gives you. Maybe you get a little UEC dump once a month.
Did you feel Spectrum shudder right there?
Yeah.
Oh,
pucker.
Man.
And hopefully none of that happens. I think that's part of the hope too, is that the sales of Squadron are so good that they don't really have to lean too heavily on microtransactions.
I guess the bottom line, my concern is that Squadron got pushed out beyond what I was expecting, and I expect
All of
that
us.
that the MMO got pushed out by that much, or at least or more. So at least to the point to where we get to the end of the hyping. So I don't know, what does that look like now? 2023, 25. I mean, it's just it's very frustrating.
Well, it's like you're saying too about the whole Pillars thing, and when it kind of segues into beta versus launch, and that's another aspect of this project too that throws people. Like it kind of doesn't matter when it's done, because we get to play it the whole way through in all its forms.
It does matter to people that are looking to create.
Well, once it doesn't wipe anymore, I guess.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But technically, they could have all those pillars done by the end of 2020, and it's still not a launched game. But they stop wiping because it's now in beta.
Yeah.
But what if the gameplay that you backed for is not considered part of the 12 pillars?
Right.
That's part of the question too.
Yes,
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, can you say Genesis Starliner? I mean, I haven't heard anybody talk about that in years.
That was
I think Ben took that with him when he left. It's just, man.
Well, that was the only concern I had with the whole pillars to launch thing, was that it's very clearly launch is now equated to, or beta, or not wiping, however you want to look at it, is now equated to core technology, not core gameplay loops.
Right.
That is a concern. Yeah.
Back to what Monty said earlier, I mean, he had an expectation, and people, expectation is not a dirty word. I know a lot of people, deride other people, or try to belittle other people about expectations, like we as backers are not entitled to them, and that's just not fair, and it's not true. But Monty's expectation of richness of medic gameplay, what happens if we hit that 12th pillar and we're still just running around stabbing each other with medipens? I mean, that's a lesser outcome than what we had expected, I think, and not unreasonably.
But now I will play devil's advocate to saying that, since I'm the one that just said that they're basing this off of core tech and not core gameplay loops. The truth of the matter is, as well, that as these final core pillars of tech are developed, which are going to take the next couple of years, probably, realistically, at the same time, those are not the same. The same people programming core tech for the engine are not the same people programming gameplay. So we will get a lot of that. I mean, salvage, refueling, repair, that's all in 2019 roadmap. All that stuff's gonna trickle in while this core tech is trickling. And so the question is just how closely will it parallel to that point where we don't get wipes anymore? It's very possible all of it'll be there by then. It's also possible it won't all be there.
And I guess that my concern is that there are always going to be exogenous factors that we aren't even aware of at this point.
True. And even when it's launched, they're still going to be iterating. It's still going to be, we're going to get to tier 0, tier 1, all the way up to tier 10 by the time it's 2050, 15
right.
years
And but like Sorian said, it's like, what if we, and let's create an extreme example. What if all we want to do is be a bounty hunter and we want to create a career as a bounty hunter? And when it launches, this is probably a bad example, but when it launches, suppose that the career that we have chosen doesn't have the necessary gameplay loops or mechanics in place for you to do that.
Yeah, that would suck.
Then you're still waiting for your game to come.
That is true.
And so I think that's because I don't think anyone didn't have the idea that someday the game would be done, or not done, but released, and that we would all, we would have a certain level of functionality, or a sufficient level of functionality to satisfy all of the professions and the roles that were shown to us along the way, along the development process path. So
whether or not they could complete it, or whether or not they can achieve this, but I think it would be unusual if CIG wasn't considering a priority to make sure that when they flip that switch, that they no longer wipe, that progression becomes permanent, that at least the base form of every gameplay style is in one
tier
form.
0.
Yeah, it has to be, because otherwise you're going to get so much backlash for exactly what you're describing. I mean, you're going to
be Atlas.
Joe Schmo over here is making millions for, that he'll have for the rest of the gameplay life, but I can't even start doing my thing yet. That would cause so much unrest and so much salt and so much backlash. And I think it has to be their goal to try and get real close to having at least a basic form of every profession in there. When
they never do stuff that causes backlash.
Yeah, never. Absolutely never.
Yeah.
They always hit all their goals.
They'll send you a canvas book bag and an $80.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm just it's got to be their goal, is all my point is. But whether or not they effectively do that is a whole nother can of worms.
I'm looking at my nylon bag right now.
Exactly.
Thank you for getting that. Yeah. How's that? Did anybody buy the Nuka rum? Oh my God!
That whole what a drama-filled.
Man, it makes me sad because there's no way I'm buying Rage 2 now, and they can't screw up Doom Eternal, can they? I mean, they don't have their meat hooks into the actual game.
They can't mess up Rage 2 or Doom Eternal, because that's going to be id Software and the company they're working with on Rage 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that feels good.
Different partners.
Whew. Boy, it's kind of like Bethesda and EA are like, racing to the bottom. It's like, what are you guys doing? It's just, crazy times. Well, guys, thank you. So, Monty, do you have anything else to say? I mean, I feel bad, like we've been talking over you the whole night.
I'm sorry.
I didn't notice that.
Okay, well, I want you to be happy, Monty. It's important that you're happy.
I'm happy. Yay!
Okay.
Yes, I'm happy.
I got to tell you that the night that I was out with you guys, that was like my favorite moment, is when we were all getting ready to engage the other side, and Monty said, "Okay, is Operation Kill a Handsome Devil starting now?" or something like that, and Handsome just said, "Oh, that's so cute."
You're so cute.
You're so cute.
Or when is that when we were in our Hammerhead and Monty died or something, and I'm like, okay, I'll take control of this.
No,
he's how to operate your Hammerhead.
He's talking about the
Lorville
storm the mining area.
Yeah.
And for the record, I put a bullet in your head, HD.
Well, thank you.
Oh,
Nice of you.
Harsh.
that was so fun trying to. I mean, the sun's going down. It's like, Jesus, guys. I was like, and some people are going, I gotta go to sleep. I gotta go to work.
So Wolf's like, all right, guys. And we're like, huh? What? Well, I'm here. I'm up. What's going on?
And it's like every time Wolf kept saying, check your fire, and then then there'd be a couple shots, and then Matt go, yeah, that was me. Stop that.
Oh my god.
Oh, you guys are killing me. You're just killing me. You're so funny. All righty. Well, anybody else got anything else they want to add? Sorry, I feel like we've been talking over you too. I don't want to do that.
No. Nothing to add here.
Okay. Well, I just don't want to, because you give me and Grit, the microphone, and it's hard to shut us up.
I'm sorry. I'm a hermit. I don't get to talk much.
No. And and the thing that's really scary is the same way when we're typing at each other. So I mean, I just don't. I mean, Grit is single-handedly responsible for just an enormous amount of loss of productivity at my job. So
sorry.
Your correlated review is here. Who's this?
Yeah.
Don't worry about
that. Yeah. It's like you've gone through 3 keyboards this week. Yeah, I know.
I am a wallow texter.
I'll add this, Gleep. We need
Yes,
more
sir.
Star Citizen podcasts.
Agreed.
There you go.
They could just be 5 minutes though, and we could use the first half to just play other people's content.
5 minutes.
Sorry, just made
okay.
a
Looks
TV
like
joke.
what magic potion do I have to take to become Nubifier? I can't do it. I cannot do it.
This week things happened. It was good. People were salty. The end.
Yeah, exactly. We're giving away a ship this week. Yeah, I don't know if any of you guys remember when Nubifier gave away a ship and gave us credit for it. And I like DM'd him. I said, like, dude, because like our thing was like we don't do that. We don't take payment. We don't we want people to come out and play with us because they want to play with us, not because we're giving away stuff. And he was like non-responsive. He just like, yeah, whatever. Dude, we didn't give you that ship.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
You probably heard that some guy gave him a ship. He's like, "Oh, those guys with ships." No, some guy gave you a ship. Oh,
it was a guy. He was a guy that was a member of our group. He had just joined, and it was crazy ship too. It was like a Carrack, I think, or something like that. That he gave them like an LTI Carrack, in the name of those guys with ships. I'm like, what are you doing? But oh well.
Well, those guys with one less ship now, apparently.
Yeah, that's the truth.
That could have been mine.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding. Yeah, and I didn't win. Damn it. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for coming out. Please, we want everyone to have. God, this is only almost 4 hours. Jesus Christ.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's 23:30.
Everyone, please have safe and sane holidays. And Corey has offered to drive everyone home in his Bang Stang.
Get in the back of the Griswold, family. It's a vacation. We're having fun.
Well, and thanks to all the brothers, all the guys that couldn't be here. Mr. Wolf Larson, who I'm very sad is not here because I really wanted to compliment and applaud his Wolfpack Wednesdays. My dear friend Turdikins, he could not be with us tonight because he's just got a bunch of stuff going on in his personal life, all good things, but just like we all have from time to time, things that are just suck all our bandwidth. And then of course John Pizza, who is my partner in crime here, has been since day one, and he and I will be getting together and conducting our annual winter meetings coming up sometime soon. TM here after the first of the year. There will be the bottomless buckets of corn dogs and more ranch dressing than you can shake a porpoise at. In the meantime, everybody, please do come out and play with us. There will be links in the show notes to how to. I think the Discord server is definitely the way to go. Is come out to the Discord server, go to the introduce yourself place, and don't post an invite to your server there.
Yeah,
it will be taken down. Because be it Star Citizen or Sea of Thieves or the new hotness that is Atlas. Guys with ships are nothing if not fearless. And housebroken. Well, mostly housebroken. My name is Gleep, and this has been the Versecast. Good night, everybody.
Lucy.
Good night. Have a good time.
Have a beautiful time.
Adios, muchachos.
It's a pizza!